Powered by Riverside FM.
Stay out? Daddy never went out at all, Ma. Keep out of it. You don't know how I feel.
Feel? How do you feel now? You don't know where he is. You don't know who he's with.
He's with his friends. Dad!
Will you leave?
This is Music Relish Podcast.
Hello, and once again to Music Relish Podcast, episode 25. 25 years of podcasting excellence.
Wow.
Yes, my name is Lou, and I'm with my friends and co-hosts Perry and Mark. And welcome to the show.
Happy New Year, boys. Great to be back. Great to be back.
Yeah. Before we begin, can we do a little shameless self-promotion? So we are available to be heard on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Pocket Cast, Podchaser, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, and we can be seen video-wise if you're into horror movies on YouTube and Facebook and Spotify. So, welcome.
And Spotify, yep.
Spotify.
Hey, Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah.
Happy New Year to you, too. New beginnings. 25th episode.
Yep.
Only the beginnings. Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit tonight, whenever we get to it, about the Beatles at Shea Stadium, 1965.
Cool.
Nice.
Cool. Now, Shea Stadium was named after the famous Cuban revolutionary, Shea Stadium, correct?
Yes. I think it was the guy named Bill Shea or something like that.
Wasn't Shorty Shea from the Spawn Ranch from the Manson family?
Maybe. Could be.
Who knew?
So what else is going to go on tonight, guys?
We're going to talk about the Buckingham Nicks record, the only album that Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks recorded before they joined Fleetwood Mac, and the rest is history.
1973. Right?
Yeah. How about you, Mark?
I got some useless tidbits on this Never-Ending Journey lawsuit, but I promised to keep up with it, so I'm going to fill you guys in.
Cool.
Going to mention about Peter Gabriel dropping a new single, which is always kind of a good occurrence in music. And we had, unfortunately, a passing of a drummer. I'll mention that.
No, is it me?
No, you're here. Well, it could happen really on the show. I mean, you know.
That's not funny. don't.
They like you. They really like you.
Lou, there's somebody behind you.
Do you have that? Do you have the creepy music queued up, Harry?
No.
Oh, all right. And I have a couple of one-hit wonders. My album for us to talk about will be revealed at the end of the episode. Although I let the cat out of the bag mistakenly to you two, but that's for us.
Yeah, and I've got a little game to play later on. Identify that riff. So, there'd be a lot of great riffs.
Identify this riff.
Identify that riff. Yeah, identify this riff. Yep, and we'll play a couple of riffs, and you guys will guess what it is. I've got a trivia question also too. Everything's pertaining to Beatles tonight with me. I guess I'm on a Beatle kick. I'm wearing my Revolvers. No, it's Rubber Soul. No, it's
that's Revolver.
That's Revolver. Yeah, the one that was designed by their friend.
Klaus Voormann?
Klaus Voormann, yeah.
Klaus Voormann.
Yep.
An incredible bass player as well. Check him out.
Yeah. So do you want me to go up first with the Beatles at Shea Stadium?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, can I do a magic trick first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Christmas, I got a magic kit. So I'm not going to do the rabbit out of your hat. Oh, that bullshit. That's for birthday party clowns. This is serious shit. This is magic.
Let's see.
I've attained the powers of vulcanization. I can turn things into rubber. Watch closely.
Damn.
Ooh.
I'm dizzy.
Wow.
I'm getting
Do
dizzy.
not try that at home. Don't try it at home. You might lose an eye.
I can do it with a pencil, but I never tried it with a drumstick.
You taught me, actually. you were my mentor in the mystic arts.
I could do it with a rubber band. But I don't have a rubber band.
Oh, do the rubber band.
Damn it.
So apparently Sid Bernstein, the American promoter, talked to the Beatle manager. What was his name? Brian Epstein. Yeah. Talked him in saying that the Beatles could break in America. They could be big. So they came over in 1964. They were going to do the Ed Sullivan Show. And this guy, Sid Bernstein, he booked Carnegie Hall for them to play. They wanted to record a live album at Carnegie Hall, but they never mentioned it to the union. So the musicians union or whatever it was called refused them.
Wow.
So that was like, you have to contact the proper people when you're talking about a musicians union,
Especially in New York.
especially in New York. Yeah. Yep.
Wow. That shows how the naivete of Brian Epstein, well, besides his savvy, because obviously he was, but, you're coming to a whole new ball game. That was the big time.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
But they came back later on in 64, and they did play at Carnegie Hall with the proper approval, when you go through the proper channels. But they played in 1965, they played Shea Stadium. And I guess Beatlemania at that point was out of control.
Yeah.
Apparently, they took a limo to the heliport. From the heliport to outside the stadium, they put them in an armored car to get them inside. This is incredible because
Wow.
now apparently it was the largest show ever. 55,600 people were there. It's the largest show ever up until that point.
And how many people heard it?
As far as outdoor venues, whatever. I mean, even the criteria was different back then, obviously. It was 65.
Yeah, and they had new 100-watt Vox amplifiers, which didn't do it. It's that powerful, but not for. And Ringo even said, he says, they came to see us. They didn't come to hear us.
Those amps would have blown the bricks off the Cavern Club, but not Shea Stadium.
Right, yeah. But it was the largest show ever until 1973 in Tampa, Florida. Led Zeppelin played for 56,000 people.
Wow.
But up until that point, the Beatles had the record for the largest capacity crowd ever.
So what was the year that Zeppelin did it again?
1973, I think, in Tampa Stadium in Tampa, Florida.
That's a big gap of time considering all the bands that came up
Mm-hmm.
during that period. I mean, even like Monterey Pop Festival. I mean, was that different criteria or Woodstock?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a different criteria.
Yeah,
I think,
these are like stadium
once
events
event.
where I mean, the Beatles for this show, all tickets were reserved. You had to buy them in advance.
Wow.
You can't show up at the stadium going, I want to see the Beatles. Tickets were $4.50.
There's nobody going, beer here, hot dog, pretzels. Wow.
$4.50 for the, I guess the upper deck. $5 for the median ones, and $5.75. Probably the best seats.
For an extra 75 cents.
Yeah.
You're still 100 miles away.
No, in comparison to ticket prices, that was a lot.
It was.
I suppose, yeah, 1965, yeah.
Wow.
So the Beatles got paid $160,000 for the show.
Wow.
Now that's big money in 1965.
That was big money then. Yeah.
Big money.
160,000.
160,000. They played for 27 minutes.
Right.
27 minutes.
Long show.
It came to about $100 a second of them playing. But they had like 2,000 security personnel, and but there was an opening act. There was like a package tour to open up. So opening was Brenda Holloway and the King Curtis Band. Brenda Holloway and the King Curtis Band. Then there was another act called The Cannibals and Headhunters.
Cannibal and the Headhunters, yeah.
Yeah, yep.
That might be a
Cannibal and the
one-hit wonder
Headhunters.
They had a song.
Excuse me. And then there was Sounds Incorporated.
Oh, wow.
And for the New York show, 1965, they added on the bill the Young Rascals.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yep.
The Rascals opened up for the Beatles.
Dino played on the same stage.
Yep. And
Sid Bernstein.
Sid Bernstein, I guess, became their manager.
That's right.
So on the scoreboard, it kept saying the Rascals are coming. The Rascals are coming. The Rascals are coming.
Wow.
It pissed Brian Epstein off, and he told him, you better unplug that shit before the Beatles take the stage. You know?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so friggin' cool.
And Ed
Now-
Sullivan did the intros of the Beatles.
At Shea Stadium. Is that in the movie? Any of the movies? Or the movie?
I don't know.
I don't recall seeing. I remember seeing them performing and coming off the going through the crowd with the guitars, but I don't ever remember Ed Sullivan.
He did the
That's
intro
wild,
at 65 at Shea Stadium because they were on his TV show probably months before, right?
In
Or
63,
a year
So,
before.
February 63, right?
He's
Yeah.
really the reason he gave them their first big, appearance in America. Yeah.
There's got to
And-
be footage of that somewhere.
Also in attendance at the 1965 Beatles at Shea Stadium, Mick Jagger, Keith Richard, and Andrew Lou Goldman.
Wow.
They weren't. They were probably off to the side of the stage. They probably weren't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But that was it, and that was the largest show ever. Ever. They had 100-watt amplifiers. Still couldn't hear them anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we've seen the film. Mark, have you seen the film footage? I know Perry and I have.
I've seen it, but I haven't seen they actually made a movie around, like a documentary on it. I think Tom Hanks produced it. Or is that the one about just them touring, I think?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Ron
the
Howard
footage-
did a movie with them just about their
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was, I don't think it was the Shea thing. It was just about them, their live shows or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Okay.
talking about. Okay.
Well, anyway, you could tell, like, the Perry's mentioning, I forgot what song they're playing. I'm Down, maybe. I don't know. Lennon's just like, it's ridiculous there. So he's goofing with his elbow on the keyboard, just playing bullshit.
Yeah. Plus, they were on uppers too, or
They're on Prellies.
whatever they call them.
Yeah, right. No, it's funny. My first wife's uncle took his niece to one of those shows. And he goes, yeah. So he was at the Shea Stadium show, and he goes, I said, what was it like? He goes, all you could hear was people screaming. He goes, it was just ridiculous. It was preposterous. I mean, but he said it was hysteria, pandemonium. Those stories are not lies at all, apparently. I mean, the whole Beatlemania.
Yeah.
But
so apparently after the show, they went back to the Warwick Hotel, and Bob Dylan came up to see him, and they were offering Bob Dylan like uppers, bennies, whatever they're called, right? And Bob Dylan gave them marijuana. And, so he gave them a joint.
The devil's lettuce.
Apparently Ringo didn't know that you're supposed to pass it around. He smoked the whole thing himself.
That's fun.
Yep.
I heard they all liked it a lot, especially Paul.
Especially Paul, yeah. Yeah, so that was it. Shea Stadium, $160,000. They got paid $1965 for that show. Yep.
Now, I'm sure, like, I haven't seen the Tom Hanks stuff, but I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm sure that sound has been digitally remastered, brought up. Some of the footage you see of their 66 shows in Japan and America too, they were good. I mean, the sound is pretty good. And they're playing some fairly adventurous stuff for that.
And they had
66.
big amplifiers for the 66 show also, yeah.
Yeah.
The big one with the head on them and the double speakers.
Right. The Budokan show is good, but if you look at Ringo, it's the only time you see Ringo not happy. He is pissed off playing. He looks angry. He looks genuinely pissed. Yeah, it's weird. He's playing great,
story
but
behind that, or
I don't know. I'm not sure, but it's kind of cool because he's right on because he's not gonna screw up because he couldn't. But there was something. I don't know if he was tired. It was just like at the end. They were at the end of the touring road. Who knows? But
maybe that was the first time he was going to quit.
Well, you never know. You never know.
Well, you know what? It was a long flight, I'm sure, to get to the other end of the globe. Right?
Yeah. He might have been constipated.
That's those beans and toast that he has all the time.
That is pressurized air cabin and then taking a plane. I think it's being stuck in an armored car. That would wig me out more than anything else. You can't see shit out of it. You know, you open the door, you know what's going to be out there. It's like Saving Private Ryan when you come off the amphibious landing things. There's shit flying everywhere.
Yeah. Yep.
Did you ever hear Ozzy Osbourne talk about seeing Beatles? He was lucky enough. His father, I think, took him. And he goes, he was interviewed by Carol Miller of WPLJ, and she goes, "What was the show like?" And he goes, "You couldn't hear one thing. There's a girl screaming, but it was still great,
You were there. I think being at a Bob Marley concert in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
Those icons that, Cool. The Beatles.
So that's it for the Beatles at Shea Stadium. Largest crowd ever.
For those that don't know, the Beatles for young people were these four guys from England that shook the world and changed music.
And if there's anyone that doesn't know, please email.
Everybody knows because their grandmother had the record.
Yeah.
They gave it to their father. The father had the record, gave it to their son.
Yeah. And Ringo was the greatest.
You know, I made a mistake one time. My son-in-law, Takena, I held up a original Beatles album, and I go, this might be worth something. He goes, no, it's not. Do you know how many original Beatles albums there are? It's true. Like everybody's mother, everybody's grandma, everybody's whatever has a Beatles album. He's like, it ain't worth anything. So, and we're going to have Takena on the show in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, there's records that are worth money, but who's to say what it's worth? Like, with these, this is Gibson Les Paul's worth $38,000. Says who? Says you.
Yeah. I'm going to hang it on the wall. Never going to play
willing to pay for it,
Yeah.
Well, let's go somewhere else. Where do you guys want to go?
How about the album?
Yeah.
They
did it again. It's
Fleetwood nothing.
Well, it works into it because there's a couple of songs on there where you can hear like that would be on a Fleetwood Mac record.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah. All right,
we
so
all
it's called
we all know the
Buckingham
one, especially. Yeah.
Yeah. 1973, Buckingham Nicks, right? Sound City in L.A., or was it outside of L.A., wherever it was? Sound City.
It was in Van Nuys.
It was in Van Nuys. That's the Valley. Yeah.
Now, Perry, this was your album suggestion last time.
Yeah. Buckingham
so upon
Nicks.
Your suggestion, we listened to it.
Recorded at Sound City. Yep. Jim Keltner played drums. Ron Tutt played drums. Waddy Wachtel played guitar.
Yep. There's another Elvis alumni in there.
Who?
Yeah.
Jerry Sheff.
The bass player.
Yep.
Yep.
Ron Tutt played on Billy Joel's first couple albums.
Oh, yeah.
He's the drummer on Piano Man.
And Waddy Wachtel's brother did the cover art, right? He did the artwork for the album.
Was it Jimmy? Is it Jimmy Wachtel?
Jimmy Wachtel, yep.
Yeah.
Photographer, did over 100 records, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Wachtel, and I don't care.
So what did you guys think of the record? Did you think it was a good record, a bad record? Overall, the sound?
Okay. The assistant engineer is Richard Dashett, who went on to Fleetwood Mac, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and worked with Lindsey Buckingham a lot, yeah.
Okay. It's a
What
good
did you guys
record.
think of it?
I think it's a really good record. Why didn't Polydor push it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Promotion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a critical failure, evidently, but
yeah, they didn't feel it. Yeah.
Yeah, the production, I think it's wonderfully produced. I mean, it's really, really well recorded. The musicians are great. There's some good songs. I mean, there's some really good songs in there. When I first listened to it, I thought Stevie. I could see where she grew as a songwriter. When I was listening to the earlier part of their album, I said, the stuff in Fleetwood Mac has a little more depth, maturity. But by the end of the record, some of the songs that she wrote, I thought were really powerful.
She had some really good songs on this record. Yeah,
it didn't seem so initially at first. I said, well, I'm digging the Lindsay stuff. Why not? But by the end of the record, I said, I've got one of the songs. I mean, I forgot the name. But
she wrote "Crying in the Night," the first song.
Yeah, but I think there was something at the end there.
Yeah, she also wrote "Races Are Run."
Races Are Run. And that's the one.
Yeah.
I'm like, and that's one. Like I think Lindsay sings most of that. I thought, or one of them.
Well, let's find out.
She sounds like Susanna Hoffs on that one.
Let's play it for a few seconds and see what we think.
Okay.
So many different kind of people.
Could be the Bangles.
Trying to be the same. No way.
That's a great song.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yeah. And what else did you think about some of the other records, some of the other songs?
There's a song Whitney Houston could have done. The song "Crystal." That is, I think that's kind of the oddball on the album for me. It's almost Eagles-ish. It's very 70s. I could have heard someone doing an 80s production with like a Whitney Houston type singer singing on it.
Yeah,
this is one that could have been adapted in a way that they might not have imagined, but with the ears of a certain producer or whatever, they might say, it's a hit for you. It is so early 70s California. I'm hearing a lot of Loggins and Messina in here, and that's not a detraction. It's a compliment. They had 7 albums. Those two guys.
It's
And a
LA.
lot of good music.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yep.
You know, the harmonies and the chord changes too. And also, Jorge Calderon is the
George
percussionist on this.
Calderon played
Yeah.
on it. Yeah, became a tight friend of Warren Zevon. Yep.
And a producer in his own right.
Yeah.
But so the one song was it "Don't Let Me Down Again."
Yeah.
That's a Fleetwood Mac song. That is that. It's got that secondhand news type of feel to it.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's hear
Yeah.
the riff, man. Let's hear the riff. Yeah, this would have been on the Fleetwood Mac album.
Yeah.
Great song.
Yeah.
Oh, don't let me down. Yeah.
Oh, so overall, I mean, I'm sure Mark's got as much to add as me. I mean, I really like it. I'm not, on second listening, because I've heard some of these songs before, you know, through various mediums, but and listen, like by the second time listening through, I said, this is a really well written album. I mean, it's pretty dense in a lot of ways. There's a lot of the production's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, there was that story where
Damn good record.
Mick Fleetwood happened to be looking for studios, right?
Yeah.
Came into
Right.
Sound City,
You heard Frozen
heard
Love.
this playing in one of
Frozen
the other
Love, yeah.
studios.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So Frozen Love was the song that he heard. Do you have a sample of that?
What is it called?
Frozen Love, the last song in the album. It's a long
No,
one.
I don't. Nope.
Did Stevie write that?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
I think, but I'm not positive.
That was written by Nixon Buckingham. It's
Okay.
7 minutes and 16 seconds.
The
Yeah.
epic.
The closer. Yep.
There's some nice guitar in there too.
Yeah, there's great. It's a great little record, I think. You know,
Yeah.
and it turns out these records that do not sell initially, they turn out to be the classics, the one that people learn about decades later. You know, like wow, man. You know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
When you do a retrospective and said,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
it's not been re-recorded, it's not been digitally remastered or anything at this point. So that what we heard, I heard that when I went to YouTube, is kind of cool. A guy, he had a really high-tech sound system, but he's dropping the needle on the album.
Yeah,
So what I heard
yeah.
was the vinyl, and it sounded great.
Yep.
It was that video was really well done. The guy did on YouTube did. But yeah, great playing. Two of the greatest drummers. I mean, Jim Keltner. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows. It's funny because studio musicians, Jim Keltner, he's been on 1 million records, but not all of them have been successful. So that for me as a drummer, that was me rediscovering some things that he could play. And I don't know who's who on what song, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, like on that one song where it's like kind of like Mick Fleet. It sounds like Mick Fleetwood playing it,
Yeah.
but I think it's Jim Keltner probably.
And that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
The one, whatever the name of that song was. Why do you tell? He was the leader of them. He was in the Mellow Mafia,
Mm-hmm.
and he produced your one-hit wonder, Perry, from last week. The Church of Starfish. You know, it's weird. They had another U.S. hit, Metropolis, on the next record.
No, they're two-hit wonder. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about
Well, I
you,
was
Gally
thinking,
Hooks O'Malley?
Only if
You
Lou's
see it
done. Are you
on
done?
Mark's
I am
screen. It says
done.
Gally Hooks O'Malley.
I'm going to have a different name every week.
Have we
and
gone back to full screen?
I am
Yeah,
50%
we're on full
Irish, so I'm
screen.
allowed to do
We're there. Don't worry. It's all there.
it. So anyway, this album for me was like kind of like Jimmy Page, his soundtrack to Lucifer Rising. That was an album I sought for years, never heard, finally heard it. And this album, I always heard about it, but it was out of print. Perry, you actually gave me a copy of it years ago, a copy or CD. It's either you or somebody else, and I promptly lost it. But through the years, I've heard songs off it. So this was my first time hearing it, and it's funny. It comes crashing out. Crying in the Rain comes out like they're announcing, this is our sound. This is the sound that will become Fleetwood Mac. It's a typical Buckingham Nicks. Then what I love being a guitarist is it goes right into a nice little interlude, Stephanie, that's great pacing.
Yeah.
Is that an instrumental from Lindsey Buckingham?
Yeah. It's a nice
Let's see
little
what that
finger
sounds
picking
like.
thing.
Wow.
Now, you hear like 2 or 3 guitars multi-track there. And it's funny that I was reading on how when Stevie was working, because they wanted Lindsey to stay home and woodshed guitar, that's why Stevie did all the work, including being Keith Olsen's housekeeper, cleaning his house. But that's why it showed like his playing on this album is just incredible.
Yeah.
Without a leg to stand on, my little note here was, as many guitars, the song remains the same. It has a ton of guitars on it. This was his, even though Stevie wrote half the songs, this was Lindsey's, great. Yeah, like it's his statement. Crystal, my thing that I liked about it was, even though Stevie wrote it, when Lindsey, he sang it, and when he comes in, it's one of the most tender vocals I've ever heard from him. Just that first couple lines,
Yeah.
And nice outro with the woodwinds. That's what I noticed. Long Distance Winner. In the beginning, it reminded me of Never Going Back Again in the very beginning, but it changed into a whole different song, But it's like the guitars are the front and the drums, they're not. It's kind of hard to. It's like the drums were complementing the guitars on that song, which I really liked. Who knows what?
Great guitar in there too.
Yeah. Don't Let Me Down Again. Again, my notes just like we said was it sounds like a Mac song, and I could hear Christine McVie singing it. Like I swore I heard her. Like, did she sneak into the studio? Django, great. That's an old jazz song.
It's the most up tempo song on the record.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I would have picked that
as a
mid-tempo
single record.
Yeah. Races Are Run. I just have a note called hand percussion, because if you listen close, interesting sound in there. Lindsey's always been good for that weird, unique stuff.
Yeah. The
Lola?
style is evident. Yeah.
No, on Races to Run, like I said, that could have been a Bengal song. I hear that she sounds like, I think Susanna Hoffs could have definitely influenced by her. But,
Absolutely.
There's some really nice percussion on there.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. Lola, I thought of it as a precursor to the Chain, but Perry reminded me before the show that was. Everyone said that. So I just said, I thought of the Chain when I heard that.
Well, I think Lindsey Buckingham said that was the precursor to the Chain or something.
Okay.
Is that a steel guitar on there? Kind of sounds like a resonator or something. It sounds like it.
There were so many.
When it's
sound.
Lindsey Buckingham, the kitchen sink. I mean, it's just like, who knows? He could use anything. And then Frozen Love, the epic. What an end to the album. That's a great song. For me, it was everything I wanted to hear. Like, I've always heard about this album, and it's great. I was lucky enough to hear a digital. Someone got the master tapes, because there's copies out there without record noise. Again, why? It's one thing that Polydor didn't push it initially, but why the hell, when Fleetwood Mac got so big, did they never issue it? Then when it came up on the 40th anniversary, Lindsey says, we might do something. Me and Stevie might do something. Polydor didn't do anything. They've got a gold mine there. It would sell a lot.
They should go on the road and play that album.
Yeah.
They toured behind it initially. Now, I heard that when Mick Fleetwood heard, actually, it was Frozen Love. It was the song that was played from. I heard that he wanted Lindsey more than Stevie, but it was a package. It was a package deal. Do you think maybe there was some kind of internal politic where that was kind of Buckingham Nicks was kind of buried, so as not to make it seem like because they saved Fleetwood Mac. I mean, if you think about the Bob Welch years going into the Buckingham Nicks years, there was the big change. Obviously, come out rumors. And
it was Warner Brothers at that point, right, with Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, it was, and like Lou, you're right. It was the corporation. So you're right. It may have been that. Let's not let this album come out. But
maybe Mick said, "You bury that album, mate. Yeah. You bury that album. I'll bury you."
But I did have the album at one point, the actual LP.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's interesting, I did some research too on Amazon. You can get an import. I shouldn't be saying this, but you can get it from Japan where it's a digital transfer. So somebody got access to the tapes, and there's an edition that has the songs that didn't make the album. So somebody, is doing stuff. I'd like to hear those other songs.
Yeah.
But I think the reason I read a comment on why it may not have been successful, aside from not being pushed, 1973 was a very crowded year for singer-songwriters. There was a lot of those kind of albums out, and it just kind of got buried. Had it come out in 74, it might have been bigger.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Maybe it didn't sound as remarkable back then as compared to like there. And the one thing about it, there's really no big obvious singles on this record.
Yeah.
That's true. The one song that sounded like Fleetwood Mac. That might have
Don't
been.
Let Me Down Again.
Yeah, that might have been the one.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of these songs. But I think it was more of an album. It's an album. It
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah,
With Albert Hammond. When did Albert Hammond have Rains in Southern California? Right? There was nothing that
Probably
it's
about
a
the
similar,
same time.
around the same time. But there's something about that song which is a huge friggin' single, but nothing on the Buckingham Nicks record. And listening to it, if you look back, if you go to Rumors, Secondhand News is that song just distilled into a neater format with less.
Yeah.
It's not overproduced, but it just.
But you had a
they-
whole
they-
band
they-
there.
They
You had
distilled that
5
sound with-
personalities
yeah.
singing it,
Yeah.
so it kind of like wasn't Lindsay's song at that point, so everyone was
Right.
contributing.
But it goes to show you how the other members of Fleetwood Mac, Christine, John McVie, and Mick, the power of their musicianship.
Yeah,
Too,
yep.
There were no lightweights. You know what I mean? So
Right.
Stevie and Lindsay hooking up with them was like, I'm sure they must have been a little intimidated as well.
Yeah.
Or
But
whatever.
the dynamics
Football.
of them joining the band it's funny. I was reading Mick Fleetwood's autobiography, and he said Lindsay was just like a kid in a candy store trying to help them with the first album with them, 75. And he said there was even one point in the studio where Lindsay was telling everybody, do it this way. But when he went to John McVie and said, play the bass this way, he kind of grumbled at him. I've been playing bass for 15 years. You ain't going to show me what to do.
Oh, boy.
All right.
Well, on that
Reminded me
first record, he wrote, Lindsey Buckingham had this sort of single, Monday Morning, right?
Yeah.
That was, I think that was the single from the record.
Yep.
Right. And
Yep.
what was You Make Loving Fun on that one too?
No, that was Rumors.
That was
Really?
Christine McVie's song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, Say You Love Me?
That's Fleetwood Mac. That's 75. Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm wrong, everyone can laugh at us, but I believe that's so.
No, I think you're right.
Well, you know
My
what? If
sister-
you're wrong, contact us at musicrelispodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
If we're wrong,
Sue
Tom's
us.
Let us
listening.
know.
That's- Tom's listening. He'll contact me.
Come get in our
You're wrong.
faces.
So what's your overall synopsis of the record then?
I think it's a terrific record. I think as far as it's a very enjoyable listening experience. If you're into songcraft, and the vocals are great, the harmonies are great. The play, it's very intricate. It's an oddly dense record to me. It's not heavy, but it's dense. And wonderfully recorded and produced. I mean, the instruments themselves sound really, really wonderful. I'm
Great
starting to get.
sound, yeah.
I'm loving 70s production now because you can turn up when you want it to be, but
Yeah.
it's not loud when you don't want it to be.
Analog, yeah.
Analog, dude. Yeah,
It is not sterile at all.
No.
Mr. Gallyhooks, Mark Smith Gallyhooks.
Well, you see what I think. I first listening all the way through, I said B. Lived with it for 2 weeks because we had a little break, and now it's an A. It's fabulous, but I love it. And just like Lou said, it's the production. I was listening to a digital transfer. It still sounded warm. It's a great thing. It's that what's the studio again? It's that sound. isn't it?
Sound City.
Yeah, it's that sound.
Sound
Yeah.
City.
But I loved it. I give it an A. And like I said, anybody listening, there is no official way to get this album through Polydor. So I will be putting it up on the Facebook page in its entirety. You can listen to it, but one day it'll be released. And if you don't listen to it, do yourself. If you like Fleetwood Mac and you haven't heard this, listen to it.
I did mention Facebook when I was doing the shameless self promotion. We're also on Facebook, Music Relish Podcast on Facebook. Mark is the keeper of the crypt.
And
he
yeah, so
put some
blame
cool
me
stuff up
for
there.
any problems. But when we play a
Yeah,
song,
blame
we
him.
only play 15 seconds. I'll put, like, for reference, I call it homework, Music Relish homework. I'll put up a whole song just so you guys out there, if you're interested in, like the Monks, I put a couple Monk songs up. We take care of the work for you.
That's right. In our attempt to give you some good stuff and things you might not normally hear.
Overall, it's a
Great.
good record, right?
Great. It's terrific. I think it's terrific. I
Hey.
think it's a terrific record especially for a debut.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did we ever
Exactly.
mention them? We did debut albums when we were on the telephones. We were on the soup cans.
We did a couple of them, yeah.
Yeah, but did we ever mention Buckingham Nicks? I don't know. You might have.
Well, no, because they're in that category that only did one record, like Rockpile,
Yeah.
like Townsend Lee,
yeah,
Rough
yeah,
Mix.
yeah.
Yeah, they were in that category.
Yeah.
Yep.
It wasn't an acclaimed debut record because it was a failure, allegedly commercial failure.
Right, yeah. 10,000
The
copies
world-
probably sold,
The
Yeah.
world wasn't ready for it, but there was one station in, I think, Alabama that played it. There was a station, either Alabama or
Yeah.
Georgia, that was
Yeah.
playing it as a progressive FM station. They were really big in that city.
I'm going to bring up a Loggins and Messina a comparison again because I did hear a lot of that on this record. But the difference was that there's almost ethnic influences. Jim Messina is an amazing musician and songwriter.
Yeah.
His contributions to Loggins Messina are like maybe underwhelmed by Kenny Loggins' voice, whatever. But the thing is, Loggins and Messina had hits, whereas I guess I think Perry made a sense. This got lost in a shuffle because there was nothing that super stood out individually about this record. But as a whole, it's terrific.
Yeah. Exactly.
And as far as the master tapes, I mean, Polydor could be absorbed with UMG now, or who knows where,
I hope they weren't destroyed in that fire.
I was going to say,
I don't know.
Did they
Polydor,
burn?
they were on Polydor, so I don't know who owns the masters.
So Polydor is a multitude of doors.
Yes,
it's more than one door.
But with the
like Unidor,
if somehow Lindsay has to get possession of the master tapes. Yeah.
Maybe
that version from Japan sounds pretty damn good because it's on YouTube and it sounds.
It's a good sounding record, regardless. Yeah. I mean,
What do you think of the? What do you think of the record, Perry?
I think it's a fine little record. Fine record. Yep.
It's like 36 minutes, right? It's not long.
Yeah,
which is
probably.
great.
Probably approaching 40 minutes. Yeah, but it's a fine failed record.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know what? Good thing it failed. Because if it had been a huge hit, it's good for Mick Fleetwood. Because say they had a hit, they might have fizzled out after 3 albums, never joined Fleetwood Mac. We never would have heard of them again. So everything works out for a reason.
Not unlike Pink Floyd getting David Gilmour, because if Syd Barrett would have stayed, they would have been like the Chocolate Watch Band or any other, or the Marshmallow Overcoat.
Yeah,
Chocolate
but
Subway.
Names Lindsey
like
Buckingham. Stevie Nicks owes a lot to Lindsey Buckingham. I got to tell you that. If you take me, you got to take Stevie.
Yeah.
Now take your shirt off, woman.
And then
let's talk about the album cover. We have to clarify that album cover.
Stevie went to she bought a dress for the album cover that cost her $100 and something. They said today's standards was like $600 something. Now at the time she was working like waitress. They were poor, so that was a huge
she worked
thing
at
for
a
her.
Denny's.
Yeah. And then she goes to do the thing, and there's pictures of her with I saw a couple online. They got the ones with her with the dress, and then Jimmy Wattell said, take the dress off because Lindsay didn't have a shirt on. And she was crying about it. She said she felt really like I didn't want to do it, And she said, if you look at my face, I was miserable. And she does look miserable on that cover.
Mm-hmm. Also, I read where after they did the Buckingham Nicks record, they did a tour. But then at that point, before Mick discovered them, she was considering going back to school. She said, I was tired of being miserable and I don't like being poor. So they were living hand to mouth, But they rehearsed, and Lindsay's father had some kind of warehouse somewhere. So that's where they honed their craft with like a 4-track or an 8-track tape machine that he had. Those were the demos that they got the record deal with.
Lindsay's father had a coffee company.
Coffee grinding or some kind of coffee bean processing thing.
Came from a very wealthy family. They had a good business.
Yep. And from Palo Alto.
Yeah.
Which means high hair in Spanish. It means big hair in Spanish.
I got high hair. I got Palo Alto.
Whatever.
But yeah, he can,
There you go. It's about time, Perry. The sound effects have just not been here the last couple times. All right.
You're so 80s. But anyway, Perry, thanks for the recommendation on that. We enjoyed it.
Can we segue into something in relation?
Yeah, let's roll, man.
Okay, let's roll. The guy that produced this record is a man named Keith Olsen. Mm-hmm. He was born in 1945. He died in 2020.
Oh, he died.
Yeah. He recorded over 100 whole albums. That's not including compilations or remixes. He recorded in his whole career 100 solid albums where he was a producer. I'm not going to go into his personal background, but here's some of the things that he has recorded. Let's see if I got my stuff in order here. Yep. James Gang, Joe Walsh. He did Passing Through in 1972, so he's the producer on Walk Away and Funk 49. Great. Fleetwood Mac, he produced the Fleetwood Mac record in 1975, so he went from Buckingham Nicks to the Mac record. That makes sense. Ever hear of a band called
Remain Friends? Yeah.
Yeah. Ever hear of a band called the Sons of Champlin?
No.
No.
I think they're a Bay Area band. They did a lot of concerts. You see them on posters on bills with the band. They might have played Winterland at one point, or maybe opened up for the band. He recorded and produced Terrapin Station by the Grateful Dead.
One of my favorites.
Do you know how George Bush would say Terrapin? Terrapin.
No.
I like Terrapin.
Third Blossom.
Zap. He produced Foreigner's Double Vision.
Ah.
Wow. He
Well,
produced
another great
Santana's album Marathon. Do you guys ever hear the band called The Babies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, do you know who's
John
in
Waite.
The Babies?
John
Waite
Waite.
and Jonathan Cain.
Yeah. Had a couple huge singles.
Right? Yeah. Back on My Feet Again and Isn't It Time was a big hit from The Babies in
Yes.
1977. He produced Pat Benatar's 2 records, Crimes of Passion in 1980 and Precious Time in 1981.
Oh, Precious Time. Good album.
Yeah. This is, he produced Rick Springfield's Working Class Dog in 1981. He produced Jesse's Girl.
That was a big hit. Yeah.
Yeah, this guy knew what he was doing, man.
Recorded at Sound City also.
Yeah. Now, Sound City was known for the drum sounds. So Nirvana recorded there. Tom Petty, I think everyone wanted to get in there. Now, isn't that where Dave Grohl, didn't he buy the board? Does he have
bought
something?
the board, depending on which studio. I mean, it could have been the studio. It could have been the board where the Buckingham Knicks recorded on.
Right.
Because I think there were 3 studios there. So, they each
I've
had
got
their
the
own board.
documentary.
There's a
he
kilo
brings-
of cocaine in the faders in that board.
Well, he turned it upside down and it rained.
Shut
There's
up.
a great documentary, Lou, if you haven't seen it, on Sound City from Dave Grohl, and he brings a lot of people back. There's a CD out of stuff recorded with that board. He brought Stevie Nicks in, brought a lot of people in that were involved with Sound City.
Awesome. Okay. He produced Sammy Hagar's Standing Hampton in 1982 with the single One Way to Rock. I disagree. I think there's more than one way to rock. I think it was very monomaniacal. Isn't that right?
That's Sammy for you.
Yeah. He's committed. He has a singularity of vision, Sammy Hagar.
Love Sammy.
The Red Rocker.
He was
produced,
the best part of Van Halen. Sorry, that's my
No,
opinion.
you stopped. No, he wasn't. Van Halen up into Diver Down. Anyway. Tony D's Pizza is the best.
I'm not going there anymore.
right.
I heard the story. No more.
I know. He produced Heart Passions Works in 1983. Joe Walsh, The Confessor. 38 Special. White Snake, 1987. That was him. Also, he produced Ozzy, Night Ranger, Scorpions. He's also, now Keith Olsen is also on a one-hit wonder from the old days.
Oh, yeah?
Yes,
Really?
he was a bass player. There was a band called Music Machine, kind of a garage rock. They had a number 15 Billboard Hot 100 hit in the magic year of 1966. That is the year for garage rock. The song was called Talk Talk. It was on the charts for 12 weeks. I'd never heard it. I'm not going to bring it up. It's just worth checking out. Talk Talk by the Music Machine.
Oh.
A cool song. The lead singer was an interesting guy. I mean, these guys were committed to this basic raw rock and roll and using it as a voice for their discontent.
Okay.
Yeah, garage rock, man.
Didn't he leave Sound City and start his own digital studio?
He did a lot of things, Perry. He became these guys are so friggin' smart. They're so good at what they do. Like, he became a CEO of a sound engineering company. He did other things in the digital realm. But these guys are visionary. Like Albie Galutin. Ever hear of Albie Galutin?
I've heard
He's
of Albie
gluten
Shore.
free. He's gluten free for one thing, so he's a very healthy guy. So,
I don't have the
yeah. But he was an engineer on a lot of the Atlantic Records, the Bee Gees. He's on a lot of their stuff. He's an engineer. They call him a futurist. These guys are just their heads are just so full of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
Look at Keith. If he had stuck with the Fleetwood Mac and the mellow and the 70s stuff, he would have disappeared. He moved into metal. He did, he came into the 80s. He recognized the good music in the 80s.
It shows the scope, his breadth of vision. Like they can do anything.
Yeah.
Look at George Martin, Perry, with the Beatles. And George Martin produced Helter Skelter. It's one of the heaviest things come out of the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
and also
that
these
shows Paul
bands-
McCartney was not a pussy.
These bands are coming to his studio. So, yeah, of course he's going to record them, right?
Right. But it's just having the innate musical knowledge to say this is what this band should sound like, given whatever style that they play. He could have produced Firefall.
Right. I don't think that, he went out to see, what was that group with David Coverdale?
Whitesnake.
Whitesnake. I don't think he went to a Whitesnake show and goes, I got to get those guys. Like, they rented his studio.
Yeah, you never know. Bob Dylan likes Metallica.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Maybe he's a fan, but maybe he's not a fan. But like I said, maybe Brendan O'Brien. He produces Bruce Springsteen. He also produced Mastodon.
Yeah.
Two different worlds. I do think it's right. Surely,
I think that the
Talent
White Snake
as a
thing,
producer.
when White Snake
Years.
did that album, David Coverdale wanted to break in America. He was selling his soul. He fired the guitar player that did it. He just wanted to be big in America, and he had linked up. And Keith Olsen probably said, "I can make you that." You know, he knew how to do it, and so Keith Olsen was the right guy at the right time.
Yeah, and
Does
talented.
happen, yeah.
So yeah.
All right,
So
let's
just
drift.
a little-
You want to drift somewhere else?
Yeah.
You want some
Turn off your
useless
mind, relax, and float downstream.
Yeah.
How about some legalities?
you have legal
Are you
issues?
suing me?
It's a legal matter, baby. You got me on the run.
Mark's
What
gonna
have
have
you
to
got?
decipher the legalese.
Well, I'm suing you guys. I heard you got wigs that look like me, and right away, that's my trademark. So, it's not going to work
Schmitty
out,
wigs.
guys. Come on. Schmitty wigs. I love it.
Oh,
Schmitty wigs.
Schmitty wigs don't come off, even in hurricane winds. Get a Schmitty wig to fit your new needs. I'm wearing one now. This is Schmitty. I have my Schmitty hairpiece on.
There you go. It's 1-800-SCHMITTY.
Yeah.
No, that's
Where's
the
my
Seagal.
widow's peak?
That's the Steven Seagal.
Where's my cakes and pies? Steven Seagal, rumored to be the biggest asshole to ever host
Is
SNL.
the biggest from what I heard.
Apparently was the worst ever.
Yeah. I can see that. Humorless bastard.
So anyway, I promised I'd keep you guys up to date on this whole Journey soap opera. So two things happened this week. First of all, Neil Sean tweeted that evidently Steve Perry has dropped his legal claim against the band corporations. It said, guitarist Neil Sean revealed the letter he received from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office conferring that petitioner, who is Steve Perry, without the written consent of respondent, filed a withdrawal of the petition for cancellation with prejudice, which means Perry can never relaunch the petition. Perry was willing to just permanently drop it. That's good to hear,
You got paid.
Yeah. So Sean said in the tweet, he says, now we can talk as we were. Meant the move was thawing relations, and he took an opportunity to go after Jonathan Cain again and said, so much for Cain trying to throw me under the bus as he claimed I was blatantly trying to rip off Perry while collecting the checks for the very diligent work my wife and I did to protect our merch. Time for coffee. I just like that. I think Steve Perry's like, whoa, who knows? Like, I don't want to give you a part of all this stuff,
Well,
Maybe
they're all
something
getting a
backroom.
cut. They're all getting a cut of whatever.
I think that's
right?
what it is, Maybe they realize Perry has to have a cut, Then another little thing there. Now, this is the first time I'm reading from my tablet, so just bear with me. I'm old and I can't use this stuff. Journey guitarist Neil Sean has filed a cease and desist against Paula White Cain, the wife of the bandmate Jonathan Cain, accusing of her improperly accessing the band's account. So basically, Neil Sean says with the corporation they set up that him and Jonathan Cain had access, but then Jonathan Cain let his wife have access to everything, and he's suing back. And
This
back and
This is
forth.
like people's court. Like Judge Judy should be like step in and like.
Oh, it's going to be on HBO. It's going to be Judge Judy on HBO with the. But this thing's never going to end, and they are going on tour very soon. But Greg Rowley is going out with them for sure.
That's perfect. Why not?
Yeah,
Why
I think
not?
it's great because
I do too.
Hey, he was there
Now-
for a decade, right?
Now I have a
He was on the original singer and keyboard player.
Yeah.
I liked him. He was also in Santana, but I have a DVD of Journey in the Philippines. It was big homecoming for the singer Arnell. They did a show in Manila, and I remarked when I was on Milk Crates and Turntables with Scott, I said, Jonathan Cain looked miserable, and Scott said, well, it's probably 100 degrees and humid. And I said, no, I think Jonathan Cain he's like Gene Simmons. He just does this stuff for money. It's a business. He just looks dour when he plays. So
Really?
I can see this show if the two of them are in the band, you're going to see. Greg Rowley having a good time playing.
Yeah.
And then you're going to see this Jonathan Cain there playing.
Well, maybe
Jonathan
one will play
Cain-
piano,
he-
the other one will play the Hammond organ.
Right.
Or,
Yeah,
it's
Jonathan
actually
Cain, he's probably dour because he's in a sea full of sinners, isn't he? Like born again.
Oh
So
man,
he's out there
very.
sulling himself in these dirty rock and roll waters. Trivia question for our listeners who don't know: what is Greg Rowley's greatest vocal performance that he's known by, outside of Journey?
Oh, he sang
Black
that
Magic Woman.
Santana hit?
Black Magic Woman.
He was the lead vocalist on that?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. So this will actually, with him playing with them, it'll be a good chance for Journey to do, like, play the old stuff faithfully. No pun intended. And it'll sound good. I think it's going to sound really good. But they're on a package tour. This could be a good 3-hour show if they did it themselves. If it works out, they probably will.
If it doesn't end up in knife fights,
Can
in
I
the
guess
dressing
who's
room
on the
like
package
Sam and
tour?
Dave in the old days?
Can I guess who's on the package tour with them? Styx?
Well, it's one of nope.
Survivor.
Nope.
Kansas?
A band that had a ton of hits in the 80s, though.
Were they metal or what
Yeah.
genre metal?
I'll give you a little hint. Step inside. Walk this way. Hey, hey.
The Grateful
Another
Dudes?
hint. Another
Pour
hint,
some
please.
sugar on me. Come on.
Def Leppard.
Yeah, they're going
Oh,
to
you
tour
could have
together.
said they were English.
Yeah, that's actually for AOR Rock, that's a huge tour. That really is.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
Def Leppard are opening up for them, or is it a co-tour? Because Def Leppard,
It's-
they're huge. I never realized back in the 80s, I never knew how huge they were. I knew they were big.
Yeah.
I didn't realize until talking to people younger than me that they were friggin' huge.
Yeah,
at
They were
the time.
huge.
I had no idea. I had no idea.
I was one of the big fans. I
Okay.
bought everything, but I hate to. As big as Journey are, I think they will be the first band on. Not that they're opening, because I think that Def Leppard draws more. I mean, Journey did their own concert tours for the longest time, and in the last few years, well, we had the big, COVID thing, but they started doing tours with other bands. Does that mean that they can't draw like they used to? I don't know. I'd see Journey anytime, but I think that Def Leppard, if they tour, they have no problem drawing. They do arenas still. They did a Vegas residency.
So now, have you heard anything recently? How does what's his name, Joe from Def Leppard, Joe something?
Elliott is
Joe
doing.
Elliott.
He's doing the Robert Plant thing. He's very smart. He was never the best live singer. He couldn't. That stuff that Mutt Lange had him do in the studio could not be reproduced live. I saw him twice live. He knew how to do it as close as he could, but as he gets older, his voice is getting a lot lower. But just like Robert Plant, they know how to restructure the songs, and he's very smart. He's not straining his voice. So he's never going to, he's not going to lose his voice. I don't think so.
Well, here's a for instance. I've heard recently. I heard Def Leppard record, and it sounds really good too. It's that David Essex song, "Hey, did you rock and
Rock On.
roll?" Def Leppard does a version of that, and it's really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There are disciples of early '70s glam rock.
Yeah.
They have a new record out.
Roxy Music. I mean, even Duran Duran. They're all about a Roxy Music.
Yep. The new Def
Art
Leppard.
Rock.
Art rock. Yeah.
Art rock.
The new album is called Diamond Star Halos. You know what that's a reference to?
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
And some of the songs do sound like more like early
That's
70s
right.
than the 80s hard rock. And they record, I think, in Joe's studio in Dublin, Ireland. They've done a lot of their recording there. I think it's so cool.
Now, as far as English singers, Simon Le Bon really impressed me at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Me too.
I got to admit, I was like, all right, dude, you're in your 60s and but he's singing with the, it's maybe it's not when he was 20, but he's not lost too much, but he knows how to do it. That's training. These guys, you have all the money in the world. You have all the coaches. These guys all have vocal coaches.
Yeah.
You don't talk the day of the gig. You don't speak as much. Keep your mouth shut. Don't
If
rat on
somebody
your
tries
friends.
to talk to you, you say, go away. Go
That's
away.
right. Go away.
Hey, you're right, though. He
Today.
sounded fabulous. See,
Yeah.
Perry, catch me there. I'm saying fabulous.
Well,
Fabulous.
Simon Le Bon sounds fabulous.
You sound fabulous.
I like it.
What was that?
That's me saying I like it. I like it.
I didn't know you recorded that song, Perry.
Yeah,
Another
yeah.
secret release on
I sound like John
Music
Fogerty,
Rolls.
don't I?
Yeah.
Hey, that guy wrote one of the greatest. There's the songs about the weekend. Everybody's working for the weekend, right? He wrote "It's Almost Saturday
John Fogerty
Night."
didn't write that.
John Fogerty
Yeah.
wrote "It's Almost Saturday Night," and that's one of the best weekend songs.
It sure is.
Yeah.
And we know Dave Edmonds had a hit with that.
Dave
in the early
Edmonds
80s.
had a big hit with that. Yeah. Yep.
Bruce Springsteen has covered it.
Really?
Yeah, and live versions. Yeah. Great
Wow.
song. Bucky.
Great songs, yeah.
Who's Bucky?
Bucky Dent.
Bucky Dent.
Grateful Dead did a Saturday Night song too. Remember?
Oh boy.
They did that one.
Wait,
Killed
Kirby, where's your wah wah wah?
Over the course of how many days did they do that?
It's called One More Saturday Night.
One more Saturday night. That's okay. I've heard it.
But it's a Bob Weir song, so it's more rock and roll than normal.
Or is it? I've been hearing the song "Underestimated Profit" lately.
Oh, Estimated Profit.
Estimated Profit.
That's a crazy time signature.
Overestimated.
That's a crazy time signature. And who
yes.
produced it? Keith Olsen.
It's that one that goes bow down, bow, bow, bow. No, that's supposed to be heavy.
It's kind of a pseudo reggae group.
Yeah, that's
it's
right.
on Terrapin Station.
It's a good song. It's a good song.
Yeah.
Terrapin.
Yeah. Terrapin.
The Terrapins hate our freedom.
Do you guys want to play a game?
Oh, love it. Games. Music relish games. Yeah.
So
I don't know what kind of game are we playing.
it's called Identify That Riff.
Identify this riff.
There's the intro.
1-800 identify this riff.
Identify this riff. So we can't call it name that tune.
That is a melody from a Dedovich Kalicki original.
So
Oh, I need a drink for this.
so what I'll do is I'll play the riff, right? Don't call it out. We'll just play the riff, then I'll ask each of you what to identify that riff.
Don't call
okay?
it a podcast.
Okay. Gotcha.
All right, let's see. Here'll be the first one.
Come on, you insulting me?
I'm asking. Can
Who
you
you
identify
asking?
that riff?
Are you asking me or individually?
I'm
or
asking both of you. Yeah.
America the Beautiful.
Lou's got it right.
Hey, this is rigged. This is rigged.
No,
I know
you-
what it
you
is.
both-
I know what's going on here.
both know,
I'm the
yeah.
odd man out. Okay.
What,
okay.
what is it? Galley Hooks O'Malley.
Alley Hooks O'Malley.
Got
All
your
right,
hooks
here's
in
another riff. Here's another riff.
wait, hold on a second.
Yeah.
It's School's Out by Alice Cooper.
I know you knew that. Everybody knows
All right.
that. Yeah. I know you were joking when you said God Bless America or America the Beautiful. All right. Now, this one, I need the name of this song, too. Okay?
Miser Lou, Dick Dale.
I lost. I don't know.
Okay, Mark, what is that?
He doesn't know.
It's
I gave it
maybe
away.
I'm amazed by the wings.
There we
Yeah, let's wait till the riff plays, till I shut the riff off.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
All right,
It's
so that was
Miser Lou by Dick
Miserloo,
Dale.
right? By Dick
Miser
Dale?
Lou.
Yeah.
Is it Miser or Miser?
I think it's Miserloo.
Isn't Miser someone who's rather frugal?
So my generation, we just see Pulp Fiction getting bigger and bigger on the movie
That's right.
screen. That's how my age group.
Motherfucker.
All right, here's one. Let's see. Here's another riff. Can you identify that riff? Mr. Smith, can you identify that riff?
Yes, I got it. It's Who's Gonna Start the Fire by Feliciano.
Double Pistols.
I got it right. We didn't start the fire by Jose Feliciano.
No,
Fire by Jimi Hendrix.
I think he may have covered it
Light My Fire, The Doors.
by the Doors.
Also,
Doors.
that's one of those songs like The Wait. I never get tired of hearing it. As old as
Me
that
too.
song is.
But
Both
just-
AIM version, the long
Great
version.
jam.
But
It's
the thing
just
about
great.
like the riffs were everything. You know,
Yeah, man.
like
Of course.
back then.
And
So
th-
here's
that's an
another
organ
one.
riff.
Let's see if you guys can identify this riff.
Identify this riff.
Can you identify that riff, Mark?
Sure.
Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen. I know the song. I just don't know the name. I lost it.
Can you guess the band?
No, I can't remember. See, I'm bad at this stuff. I'm not a test taker.
All right, Lou, give it up.
It's the Bangles.
The Isley Brothers. Who's
Isley
That Lady?
Brothers.
Is it part 2 or
Yeah,
part
it's Who's That Lady, right?
Who's That
Either
Lady?
part
Oh,
one or
God.
part 2.
1? Yeah.
It's,
From the amazing cross-decade, cross-generational Isley Brothers. Hitmakers.
great guitar playing, and maybe I should stay off the
Great singer.
All right, let's do this one.
Can I?
Let's identify this riff. Mark is not going to get this one. There ain't no way.
because I'm
All
20
right.
years younger.
We'll see. Don't
Oh,
call it out.
No. Mark, you have to get this.
I'm not even going to joke. Hold
That
the
was-
Line by the awesome Toto and Steve Lukather and David Page and Jeff Beccaro and David Hungate on bass and Bobby Kimball on vocals. From
You
their
forgot the
debut
drummer.
album.
Who's the
I
drummer?
said Joe Beccaro.
No, Jeff.
Thought it was Jeff.
Jeff. Sorry, Jeff.
I think it was Jeff Pocono.
Well, you know
That-
what? I
that-
lost because I got that wrong. So Lou got it right.
I was
Lou
stopped.
won.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. That's one of the first songs I learned to play drums to.
Really?
Or tried.
I noticed
yeah.
you knew the riffs. You were
Oh, yeah.
air drumming the riffs. How come
When-
you didn't have
when
the
that-
sticks in your hands when you did it? You want me to do it
I
again?
know. I'd have to lean over. When that song first came out, like that was considered like a rock song. Like that was right post disco.
Yeah.
Where,
Yeah.
but I remember the DJs were mentioning the drumming on that song on NEW. Saying the drumming on the song in particular. That's when DJs could talk. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And
If
that
you
was
listen
a-
to it.
That was a
If you listen
big
to it
hit.
on good
Yeah, man.
headphones, the way they record the drums, you feel like you're in the room with him. It's a very natural.
It's very live.
like-
It's a very live
yeah,
song. Yeah.
the whole album's like that.
Also, Jeff Porcaro. I mean, he's another great drummer that died way too soon. His discography is incredible for a guy that young.
Yeah,
Right. Yep.
yeah. He was on
Good
Thriller.
Yeah, Tom Thriller. Yeah.
Okay, can you guys identify this riff, this opening riff? And it doesn't have to be guitar oriented all the time either, but
Sure.
most of them are. But here goes. Can you identify that riff, Mark Galley?
Honey, Can I Explain by Shecky Green. I Can't Explain by the what?
Can't explain.
The bloody ew.
Ew.
Who?
Ew the fuck
The
you.
bloody friggin' ew.
All right, this is an old one I have here from
God, give
early
it a-
1970s. Lou, you're going to know who it is. I wonder if Mark can figure this one out.
I got to play drums too. All right. go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, it's so good.
Mr. Smith, can you guess? Name
The
that
Hollies.
riff. Identify
The
that riff.
Hollies. Girl in a. I'm going to get the color wrong. White dress. I got it wrong.
Long cool woman.
Long cool woman. Damn
Long,
it.
cool woman. Yep.
We split
That-
it. We split that. That's a double win.
We did. We
Yeah, there you
split
go.
it. Yeah.
That's a great guitar intro.
We're a team here, man. We're a team. We're not
Yeah.
competing against each other.
We're like
Right.
those two kids on Trailer Park Boys that are always helping Julian and
God.
Ricky. Those two dumb kids, you know.
Right. There's no
Yeah.
meat in team.
We got stuck in the trunk.
In the shitmobile.
All right, here's one
Some
more. I got
smokes.
one or two more riffs. Let's see if you guys can identify this riff.
I'm sweating. Mm-hmm.
Mark, Lou, I know Lou's golden on this one, but
I
let's
know
see,
it, but here's my terrible test taking. I'm taking a pass. Lou, you got it.
The Monkees, Pleasant Valley Sunday.
Pleasant Valley Sunday.
Don't break your nose with the
Written
drumstick.
by
Carol King.
Carol King. Yep.
All
Really?
6 of her. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Wow.
All right,
Los
I've
Monkeys.
got one more riff. Not two more riffs, but here,
Okay.
Can't believe I didn't get that one.
this one, I know Lou will get this one. But
Uh-oh.
Mark,
You're under pressure, Lou.
Mark,
Mhm.
good luck
Right.
to you.
$100,000. Oh.
Lou, do you want to give Mark a clue or something somehow?
it has a sort of nautical theme to it. And the leader of a ship, say the Titanic, who was the leader of the ship? He had a certain title in his. He was something Smith.
You could lead me on, and I still don't get it. I'm thick-headed.
I
know the song. I know it.
Ride Captain Ride by Blues Project. Is it
Blues Image. Yep.
Blues Image.
Yep.
Oh, I was thinking another band.
Blue is right on. I have
I
one
was
more
thinking
riff.
that
One more riff left to guess, and this one, you guys will never guess this one.
It's because I'm 81 years old.
Never. Never. You guys are not getting this one. Never heard of it.
The song that Mark Knopfler famously asked
working.
Billy Gibbons to show him the guitar sound.
Yes.
Billy Gibbons said, "Get away from me."
Yeah.
But
Billy
I got to tell
Gibbons
you,
told me, goes, he melted down car fenders.
what a
He
riff,
melted down
man.
car fenders and made string. Yeah, it's a great riff.
What a riff. You play that riff probably in outer Mongolia, and they will know what that song is.
That's right.
You know?
I was
And-
lucky to see him on that tour. What a show!
You did, Mark. You never cease to amaze me. You're
Only
live
and from the
adventures.
20th row too.
Yeah.
I
But
went
now
to
you
it with-
didn't.
Huh?
You saw them with Terry Williams on drums, not the original drummer Pick Withers, who was a great drummer.
Yeah,
He's on the
yeah.
first three records. I would have loved to seen the Straits with Pick Withers on drums.
Yeah,
but-
he was a great
but,
drummer.
Now Terry Williams was a drummer in what band we mentioned earlier that had one album? Classic, just rock and roll record. Perry, you mentioned them.
Oh, I don't
He was
know.
the drummer.
Oh, yeah, he was on at Dave Edmunds' record.
You're kind of close.
Buckingham Nicks.
No, Perry, you were almost. David Edmunds was in this band, but it was not a Dave Edmunds record. They had
It
one
was-
record,
Rock Pile.
Rock Pile, Second
Yeah.
of Pleasure. Terry Williams was the drummer in Rock Pile, replaced Pick Withers and Dire Straits. So he's a drummer on Money for Nothing. I thought it was Omar Hakim, who's on Brothers in Arms also. But
Yeah.
that song, Perry, was the first song I ever heard on CD. I went to a Sam Ash in Paramus, New Jersey, to buy some drum equipment. I was just poking around. The guy goes, "You want to hear something, man?" He goes, but he was eating a salad because all musicians and music stores are eating salad when they don't want to help you. You're like, "I'm not interrupting your fucking lunch, am I?"
Especially Sam
I want to buy
Ash.
some guitar picks.
How much money you got on you before I talk to you?
Yeah. But he brought me into the sound booth. I'm like, holy crap. It was pretty immense. The drums themselves were just recorded so well.
That was a rare case of when it was recorded, you couldn't improve on it now. It was just recorded so well.
Yeah.
That
But I
studio
got a funny
recording
story.
sounds gigantic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I got a funny story
I had
about
that CD. That was a great CD.
Me too. Yeah. When that show came to the Meadowlands, of course, it sold out impossibly. And I was in high school, and I went with a couple friends of mine. We luckily had the second tier. We were way up there. And but the day before the show, my sister said my sister was going, and my sister Allison always got the best seats. She had 20th row. So the day before the show, she goes, someone's not going with us. Do you want to sit with us? And I went, yes. And I'm not going to tell my friends. I went to the show with my friends. And when you went in the old Meadowlands, you either went up or you went to the floor. So my friends are going up, and I'm like, hey, guys, I'm going to meet my sister. I went down 20th row, and I was looking up, and I was waving to him. Biggest asshole move. I shouldn't have done that.
No, you should have.
At the end of Sultans of Swing, because that was like his Rosalita. That was Mark Knopfler's. That was his big thing.
Good analogy. Yeah.
At the end of the song, he just stands there looking down, and people cheer for him for like 10 minutes. It felt like it was. He always did a fabulous solo on that song. Great show.
He's a fabulous guitar player.
He is.
Yeah.
Mr.
He's
Fabulous
also very
Galley
hum-
Hooks
he's very humble.
O'Malley.
Galley hook. Mark Knopfler said his guitar vocabulary is A, B, C, D. He goes, I don't have this, it's just what he does,
Yeah.
Now, like Lindsey Buckingham, we didn't mention Lindsey Buckingham has a great finger picking. His tunings and the way he plays guitar is very unusual.
Yeah.
Mark Knopfler is the same way. I don't see them using picks.
Knopfler taught me the standard Strat sound, like how to get him and Eric. I hate to say Eric Clapton, mid-70s, but Mark Knopfler, they're the ones that made me like that twang, and that's why I wanted to get Strat. I wanted to emulate that sound.
Right. What pickup position? It's in the forward position. I think.
It's
It's where you get that sound.
If
right?
they had the old Fender
I had a
Strat,
Strat.
it was three position. Mark, you probably have a 5 position.
I'll tell you, a lot of the
you
clean
can
stuff
get
that
it, easily
Knopfler does.
get it in between phases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So Knopfler definitely has between the back and the middle. because it's a twang, but not a total twang. It's got some meat to it. And that's why I play that the most when I do it clean. Because
Okay.
I always think of Mark Knopfler.
Hmm.
And Eric Clapton did that a lot too in the late 70s.
Yeah, and he learned a lot from Chet Atkins about that finger picking style.
Yeah.
Of Chet Atkins, yeah.
I'm thinking of Lay Down Sally, the guitar song on that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All
So
of
how
it
about we
is
do
fine.
some trivia? You guys, Lou, do you have some trivia?
I do.
Cool.
Now, since you're in the Beatles thing this week,
I'm in my
I have
Beatle
a
mode.
question.
In fact, my trivia questions are in Beatle mode also.
okay. How many number ones did the Beatles have? How many number one hits? I think it's not been done. I think they still have the record. I think
Really?
for number ones. How many number ones?
I'll-
They put an album called One, right? Ones or something.
I'll say 23.
Mark,
I'm going to go with 18.
you guys are both very, very close. The record is number 20. They had 20 number one hits.
20 number one hits.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're both like within 2 or 3.
I'd be a great Price
Shots
is
of
Right
that.
guy.
Wow.
Right. I have another question. Who was the original drummer in Lynyrd Skynyrd? Or as the TV guy said when they crashed, Lynyrd Skynyrd. Who was the original drummer?
I have no idea because I'm not a fan of Little Leonard Skinner.
It's not about
I only
being a
know the
fan,
one
Perry.
guy,
It's about
Artemis
being trivia.
Pyle. And
You know Artemis Pyle. Okay.
yeah.
Mr. Smith.
I can't
Dally
remember.
Hooks O'Malley.
I'm thinking of, I have the pronounced Leonard Skinner album, and I'm thinking of opening the sleeve and going, oh wow, Artemis wasn't on this.
He's the
can't
drummer
remember.
on Freebird. He's the drummer on the studio version of
Yeah.
Freebird.
That nobody
Artemis Pyle's
listens
on
to.
the live version. But,
Yeah.
his name was Bob Burns.
Mm.
That's him on Sweet Home Alabama, Simple Man, Simple Kind of Man, Simple Man. He's on one of their documentaries. He seemed like a really cool guy. He died at the age of 63. He got into a car accident a mile from his house. He hit it like a mailbox or something.
Another
You gotta
car
wonder
accident
why.
with Leonard
that
Skinner.
that band. There's 2 survivors. That whole crew. Not to mention on the plane crash victims, but their story going after that is just tragic. You know
You know what? Like a lot of these
that
rock stars,
dark book we're gonna write.
don't drink and drive. Don't drink a whole bottle of vodka and get in the
No.
car and drive.
No.
You know, and that's
And drive-
unfortunately.
Yeah, and driving in oblivion did not mix.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how many U.S. top 40 hits did REM have? Billboard Hot 100. That's my criteria for a.
Oh, it's
One-hit
going to be a
wonder.
low
To me,
number.
It was more than I thought, but
I would say less
Interesting.
than 10.
you're correct. You are correct. It's less than 10, but I want a number.
8.
Okay, Mark.
6.
9.
Perry
They
got
had
it.
right now. From what I understand, they do not have a number one. I thought Losing My Religion was
Yeah.
number one. It was number one on the alternative charts, but I'm going Billboard Top 100. That's more nationwide. So
That was
the one-
huge.
what was their first top 10 hit?
Who, REM?
Yeah, first top 10.
The one I love?
You are correct, and that was the number 9. So they just cracked the top 10. I remember reading that Rolling Stone article. The document had just come out, and they were like, "That's when Peter Buck bought his mandolin," which ended up on subsequent records.
I was going to say you can't get
Stan-
there from here.
Right. I love that song. I love that album, except for Wendell G. But Fables is a great record. So the song Stand from the Green record, what was its chart placing?
Oh, I don't know.
Now, wait, all of those are top 40. They're all top 40.
I'm going to say 18.
It was more than I thought. It's not 18. I would think more like 18. Perry, give it a shot.
It was
Call a number.
13.
1 to 40.
13.
No, number 6.
Wow.
Wow.
I was like, wow, it charted that high. Losing My Religion, I think is their biggest hit. What was its chart placing? It's up there.
If it wasn't number 1, I'm going to say number 4.
You are correct. Number 4.
Hey.
On the Billboard, it was number 1 on the alternative, but it was Billboard Top 100. It was number
Because
4.
you think there's a few songs at that time that were more just popular, but to REM fans, that's.
Yeah.
By the way, that's the song that really got me to know them. That's what enlightened me to REM was that album that a lot of people hate.
Yeah, I like that record. I think there's some good songs on it. That was Out of Time.
Mhm.
Shiny Happy Persons. It's cracked the top 10.
Shiny Happy Tweeple.
The one song they said they think is really, they all say this is a really stupid friggin'
Yeah.
song.
And the video makes me cringe.
And they did the Muppets. They did the Muppet Show. Anyway, that was number 10. That correct
Okay.
top 10. Okay, Drive, a song I really don't particularly like.
that.
The
I
Drive
love that
sounds like David
song.
S. It sounds like David S.
Yeah, that's that
I mean,
meandering
they reference
song.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark, you
Can-
like that one? That's from
I
Automatic
love
for
it
the
because
Peeps.
Peter Buck comes in with the
Yeah.
with the crunch. That's my favorite
And,
audio.
Yeah, I like
Patti
that one. It
Smith-
goes, "Who's gonna drive you home?" No,
Yeah,
that's
you
not
got-
it, right? No.
Oh, Patti Smith co-wrote that Drive.
Benny Orr.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was number 28. Okay,
Wow.
Everybody Hurts from Monster.
I love that
think.
song.
Is that Monster
No,
or
Automatic for the
Automatic
People.
Oh, that was a big
Yeah,
hit.
yeah.
That was a pretty big
That's
hit.
a great song.
Yeah.
I thought it was bigger than it was. It was 29 on the Billboard Top
Wow.
100.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I thought it was more of a top 20.
You know why
Okay.
we think it was bigger? Because MTV played the shit out of it. We were watching MTV. That's
okay.
why. You know?
Right. Okay. What's the Frequency Kenneth from the Monster album? That was a top. It didn't hit top 10. It was top 40. It didn't hit the top.
32.
Well, no, it didn't hit the top 20.
But, you know,
Number
if you crack the top 40, it's a hit, right?
Oh yeah, it is. It was
Yeah.
number 21.
Yeah.
And also, now here's a surprise to me: is from the Monster album. I didn't know it was a hit, and it scored higher than on the Billboard Top 100 than What's the Frequency, Kenneth. It's Bang and Blame. That was number 19. I had no
Wow.
idea. Yeah.
Jeez.
So yeah, that was. I think those are the end of my trivia questions. Yeah. Yep.
Now,
Interesting.
Billboard
Yeah,
Hot
yeah.
100, did they
Fun
have, like,
stuff.
was that the Billboard Hot 100 alternative? Or
No. There's
Mainstream.
Billboard Top 100, but there's also the mainstream. There's also there was the U.S. alternative. Like Losing My Religion was the number one on the alternative charts.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not as comprehensive. I usually go with Billboard Top 100. So in the sense, Losing My Religion was number one. It was probably number one in several.
There was a
countries.
crossover, probably, right?
Yeah. But
I think-
going for I go for the broadest thing. I go Billboard Top 100.
I think the reason I'm skewered on numbers is because REM had a great relationship with MTV. They treated them very well. So they did play a lot of their stuff, even if it wasn't a big hit. They were justifiably helped by MTV.
Well, Michael
you know?
Stipe was
Yeah.
saying that, I saw him interviewed a while back, and he was saying that once Losing My Religion, that video became, was in regular
God.
rotation every hour. He
Yeah.
said he couldn't walk down the street without being recognized by someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
And right. Automatic for the People. That was the first REM record I did not buy.
I took to
I
it.
didn't.
There's
I didn't buy
something
it on the
about
strength. I didn't buy it on the strength on what I consider was not the strength of Drive. That was just not the song I wanted. To me, it sounded derivative of them, and it in a sense, it kind of is. But I think they meant that on purpose. But there's other songs like on the
Sidewinder. Oh,
yeah,
God,
yeah, or A Man on the Moon.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one of the. That's a great song. I think now what's cool about it, Bill Berry wrote the music to that.
Really?
So Bill, but yeah. So he was, that's why I think they were like a truly democratic band. They shared the songwriting things equally because they all wrote songs, and in every album there's a Bill Berry. I think it was that kind of a thing where one guy could say there's politics, but they decided to wisely and I think justifiably in that band share it.
Well, Automatic for the People, that album, if you blast it, it sounds really good. The drums sound, that's my favorite drum sounding REM album. There's something about it. And they still utilized, I think, bass was still recorded up at Woodstock at Bears Hill Studios.
But I mean,
I was in that
isn't it
room
great?
that they used.
Every record sounds different, so that's an artistic evolution.
Yes,
every record sounds different.
Right now with Document, the first Document. There's the last record on IRS. Green was their first major label release on Warner Brothers. When I first heard Green, and I've listened to it recently, the production now. Document is big, it's cranky, it's loud, it's just in your face. Green could have been that, but for some reason I think they pulled it back on the production presence. But when in retrospect, a lot of those Green songs they sound great.
But they do what they want. It's like Lindsey Buckingham.
I didn't mention Orange Crush.
He's not going to.
Orange Crush was a hit.
They're not going to do Rumors 2. We're going to do Tusk.
Yeah.
Let's bring it. Let's do a 180.
Right. Or if you're dyslexic, it's Tux.
Listen, let me tell you something about Orange Crush. If you grew up
I forgot Orange Crush.
Kane West.
If you grew up in New Jersey, UHF, Channel 68 had U68 Friday nights. They played heavy metal videos, and it introduced me to a lot of good shit. Like UFO was on. Also, they played Orange Crush on their metal show. It was considered like a lot of metalheads like that song because it had the video was very dark.
Yeah, it was also a different guitar sound for REM. It was very.
Yeah.
I
Some
was
people
trying to be
said-
like U2.
Some people said they kind of sounded like U2, but
Sure they
you know,
did. I
U2,
thought so.
U2 learned a lot
Didn't
from
hear
REM,
that.
I'm sure too.
In fact, they're admirers. In fact, I remember reading about Bono saying he was a big admirer of REM,
Yeah.
just like Nirvana and Kurt Cobain said. Those guys are saints. The way they
Yeah.
handled their fame, REM had the perfect career. They had the perfect career.
Yep.
Yeah.
When the pressure came, it wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't like the first album came out and it was like,
Hey,
yeah,
they're still. I visited their website just the other day. They're
did you?
Yeah.
I would love to. What's Bill Berry up to? Now, Michael Stubb has a solo record coming out.
Yeah, I heard a couple of cuts from it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll buy it sight unseen. I'm just going to order it. I
Yeah.
just want to hear
There
it.
you go. Oh, cool.
Oh, by the way, we have to do this for Tom because we talked about REM.
That's right.
There you go.
Quite a bit, actually.
Hey,
Space
guys.
Age.
you know who's back with a single?
Whom?
Who?
Peter Gabriel.
Wow.
He just
Was
put
he
out
in
a single.
Genesis? Was he in Genesis?
No, he was in Leviticus.
That's right.
Yeah, they never made it. Hey, just put out a single. I'm a big Peter Gabriel guy. When he puts out a new song, I'm like, great. It's not a cover. It's called Panopticon. I hope I'm saying that right. I just listened to it tonight for the first time. It's a good pop song made very kind of strong by Peter Gabriel's sound. And, it's good. He's going to put out every new moon. He's going to put out a song from his new album until the album's released. So
Every
look
new
for
moon.
it to drop every new moon.
Yeah.
So I'll be
Interesting.
listening.
That's
cool.
That's a novel. That's a novel approach.
Yeah.
And it'll be his first album since.
Wait, Mark.
Yeah.
Will it be a new moon on Monday though?
It was a new moon yesterday, as Ian Anderson said.
Did you get my reference?
New
Was that
moon.
Duran Duran?
Oh yeah.
New moon on Monday.
Oh, you sound like Simon. That's Simon
thanks.
Laban.
Thank
It's
you.
Lou Laban.
Oh, I thought it was Shea LaBeouf.
And I can
Lou
turn
LaBeouf.
drumsticks into rubber.
I can't do that anymore. I'm starting to wear off Carl Palmer's signature on my drumsticks by doing that. So I
All
can't.
right,
Told
can
you.
I give you guys a trivia question?
Yeah.
Man.
It's going to require some thought.
Forget it.
Are you saying we're stupid?
No,
Yeah,
no, no.
I
I'm
am.
saying you're not
Insinuating
going
we're
to. You're going to
stupid.
have to think about it. So,
Ricky, you want some smokes, Ricky?
so
We've been coasting all along since.
can
then. Okay.
you guys name 3 Beatles songs which no Beatles play on, other than singing it?
Three Beatles that they don't play the instruments on.
Right, correct.
I'm going to take a shot. I got 2.
You're not looking it up on your iPad, I hope.
I got my eyes closed, Perry. Come on. Wait, hold on. I got to blow my nose. I got the Sound City console
Yeah,
here. Hold on.
just give it a little
Wait.
thought. There's no time. I'm playing a little video here while you guys are
Yeah.
thinking.
So they don't play the instruments, but they
Correct.
sing.
There's
Yeah, because-
no Beatles are playing on it.
Because
Can we take turns? All right. I'm going to
Yeah.
go with Eleanor Rigby.
Correct, Eleanor Rigby.
nice. Yesterday,
It's orchestrated by
No.
George Martin, but no Beatles
Yeah.
play on it other than singing it.
It's not because
No, they played the
Okay.
music for that.
They did.
She's leaving home.
You're good. You're good, Mark.
Wow.
That's number 2.
Within You Without You. No,
No, because
no.
George played those
George
instruments.
played the sitar.
Yeah,
George
yeah.
played the sitar.
All right, I'll
Shit.
give you a hint. The next
no
one's
one.
it's on the White Album.
Number
nine.
9.
Number 9. No. Honey Pie.
John Lennon wrote the song.
Good night.
There it is.
We
Okay.
got it, Lou. We
Yep.
got it.
Yeah.
Mark, you did much better than I did. If not for the hints,
We're
I would
smart.
not have gotten it.
Now there is one more. There is a 4th one, but it was a B-side of Lady Madonna.
Pulls a 4th one out of his ass.
A B-side of Lady Madonna.
B-side of Lady Madonna. George
Oh,
Harrison
boy.
song.
Long, long,
I'm
long.
stumped.
No. It's
No.
called The
That's on
Inner
the White
Light.
Album.
The Inner Light. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the Beatles song that they play on but they don't sing? I heard this on the radio.
From Sergeant
No,
Pepper. No, from Magical Mystery Tour.
Yeah.
Flying.
yeah, Flying.
Yeah, they're only instrumental, right?
Well, yeah,
Right.
they just go la 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 la.
That might be a mellotron. That may not be a vocal.
Mm.
I heard
Really?
that
I
on
thought I
radio.
heard Ringo
that-
in there. I thought I heard Ringo.
I thought so too, Perry.
Yeah.
It sounded la 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 la. But
So-
I heard that they don't. They
guys
play
got
it.
it.
I heard they don't sing. Yeah.
Eleanor
Well,
Rigby, She's Leaving Home, and Good Night. No Beatles play an instrument on it.
Right.
Now, George
And most
Martin
people
may
did-
have played something like a Celestial or something, but he's not
Right.
a Beatle.
Assume that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
most people didn't know that John Lennon wrote "Good Night."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jiminy Cricket could have sang that song.
It's a beautiful. That's what he said. It was a Disney song. It's a beautiful song.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Now, something interesting about The Inner Light, that B-side to Lady Madonna, it's the only Beatles song ever recorded outside of Europe. George Harrison went to Bombay to record the backing track,
The Inner Light,
The Inner Light. Yeah.
which
Wow.
was that on Magical Mystery Tour?
No, that was the flip side of. They
Lady
might
Madonna.
have thrown it on one of those records. Yeah.
I think they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool.
But that was the only Beatles song ever recorded outside of Europe. He did the instrumentation in
Interesting.
Bombay. Then he came
Wow.
back to do the vocal in London. Yeah.
Dr. Bombay. Dr. Bombay.
Now I have two. There's the significance of two songs: Helter Skelter and Dig It. Dig it.
I love it.
Like the FBI. Dig it. Right. There's significance to those two songs. John Lennon plays bass on those songs.
Wow. And Helter
Yeah.
Skelter.
And
Does he-
Paul
does he-
McCartney play guitar, right?
Paul McCartney played a lot of guitar on a lot of
Yeah.
songs. Yeah.
No, on Helter Skelter though, wasn't it?
Yep. Now on Maxwell Silverhammer, two of us.
The bass that John's playing, is it that 6-string Fender?
They had a Fender 6-string bass. Yeah.
Because that's what he plays on the Long and Winding Road.
Apparently that was hanging around the studio. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
okay.
George Harrison, well, on Maxwell Silverhammer, two of us, and She Said, George Harrison plays bass on those songs.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And on Two of Us, you can tell he's playing that 6-string bass. You know, boom,
okay.
boom, boo-doo-doo-doo. Yeah, he's playing that
Okay, right.
6-string bass. Yep.
It's a sublime song.
It
Oh,
is.
and by the way,
Years to figure out.
when George Harrison, Lou, you mentioned recently that George Harrison album 33 1/3.
Yeah.
That's how old he was when the album was released.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's right. I
And
like
it was
the
his
Beatles
first
version
record
of
on
Sing-
Dark Horse. First issue on Dark Horse
His
Records.
first, his
was-
label.
Yeah. Yep. And apparently, the tape, he was supposed to deliver the master tapes to A&M. He was late, so they refused it. So it was
Whoa,
distributed.
they refused the Beatle.
It was distributed by Warner Brothers
Wow.
because A&M didn't get the master tapes on time. Yep.
Also,
Jeez.
I think after 1971, his career was Dark Horse the record. We've all talked about his voice on that. His voice was shot
Yeah.
on the Dark Horse
Yeah,
record and
yep.
that tour. But I heard actually today I heard a demo version of "Blow Away" with all the. It's such a great. It's one of my favorite George Harrison songs. It's so melodic. It's just
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
The lyrics are just so great. So his singing, like his albums were spotty in the 70s up until Cloud 9, but his singles were amazing.
Let's say something. George
Away,
and
Cackerbox Palace.
John's solo
Their album
albums
output.
were spotty.
Yes, they were.
Whereas Paul was hitting it, whether you
Paul
like
was
it or
nailing it.
not. He
Yeah.
was nailing it,
Mhm.
But
And
then you're
Ringo.
right. George caught up. Cloud 9's a great album. Just
It's amazing comeback, and all
Yeah.
the songs are great. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing. He was ready to do it. It was such a redemption thing for him too,
Yeah.
And you could tell he was enjoying it. And then he did the Wilburys. So up until George got sick, he was on top of the world. It was cool to see George get his due.
Yeah.
And Brainwashed is a great album.
And
Yes.
Mark, you gave me a copy of Brainwash. Thank you. Yep.
yeah, it's a great album.
And you burned me a copy, Perry.
Did I?
So that came from you, Mark.
No, I think it's from Mark.
Let's
Yeah.
not discuss on the show that I was copying Beatles.
Mark's
solo
in
albums,
distribution.
please.
Yeah, Mark's in distribution.
Yeah.
We
Can I
know
ask-
my name is Gally
We
Hooks
got your
O'Malley.
back.
I'm not,
Gally
Mark Smith
Hooks.
lives in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at 12 East 47th Street next to Darrell Hall.
We'll put a bar across your face after the show. There you go.
I'm breathing heavy because I'm guilty.
How do you
can't
guys
talk
feel
about it
about these bands that use backing tracks for these live shows? Like I've read recently that Motley Crue
Oh,
actually the music started, the drum started before Tommy Lee even had a pair of sticks in his hand. Like, and
well, okay. Remember track acts? There were a thing known as track acts. These were artists or whatever that got
No.
out there and did. Motley Crue should be a track act. You know,
what does that
Don't do
mean?
it.
What,
well, their stuff was backing tracks. So that when they came out, singers and dancers would perform to pre-recorded music. They were called track acts. But when you have like a band that was known as a live band and like a rock and roll band, and they're playing to their he's drum syncing, or evidently poorly.
Yeah.
Is that where we're getting at?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Vince Neil's washed up. I mean, that band
Yeah,
is
yeah.
my thing on that, there's backing tracks, like technically Rush used backing tracks. I was fine with that because they were not the
It was
song.
separate.
It was
separate from
sound
the song.
effects.
Yeah.
My
Right.
thing is when there's even guitarists out there now that are just like they're miming. They're not playing
well,
in certain metal bands.
apparently Kiss does it, Wasp does it,
I'm not surprised.
and they said
Wasp.
when
Wasp has to do it.
they have laptops that they tap into the sound system, and and this is where
Fuck
it
it.
comes from. This guy from Wasp says 90% of the bands out there use backing tracks. Now this
That's
is different.
not true. That's not true.
Well, this is coming from whoever this guy
he's
from Wasp
like he's
is,
being like
you know?
Gene Simmons.
The
yeah.
bullshit justification.
But it's
yeah.
different.
Yeah.
It's different, like say,
Yeah.
like with Madonna and Britney Spears and all the dancing around and everything. Yeah, I can understand that there's backing tracks for that because it's
Yeah.
impossible to do that.
Yeah,
That's
to
different.
breathe.
Janet Jackson and all that dancing around and all that
Yeah.
leaping and cavorting. That's understandable.
Kissing and jumping and drinking and humping.
But Tommy
Boats and
Lee's
hoes.
drums starting before he started playing.
That's bad
I'm-
syncing. That's bad syncing. That's bad.
Yeah.
Paul Stanley's vocals, like
Paul
he
Stanley
stopped
lost his
singing and you
voice.
still hear him back. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a
That's-
cop out, don't you think?
Yeah,
That's a
especially
cop
with
out. That's
especially
time to
with the
go
price
home.
of tickets today. Tickets are like at least $100. You go see Kiss, you drop in 150. All told, at the end of the night, you're probably going to drop $300 if you had a couple beers and parking, and they're miming, and that's what's wrong with this whole thing.
But
Is
think
it bad
about like
Motley Crue. Is Motley Crue pulling in big ticket prices now, or is it kind of standard?
Probably, but I heard an
Probably.
isolated vocal of Vince Neil singing
It's
"Dr.
bad.
Feelgood." He's just mumbling. He's like, he's not even.
well,
trying.
they'll use auto tune for
Yeah,
they'll just use
yeah.
auto tune to get him up to
Yeah, but Geddy Lee didn't, and Geddy Lee took care of his voice. It was hard for him to sing. A
True
lot of
talent,
singers
my
are
friend.
true, yeah,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of like, I bet you Wilco has samples, but they're not using backing tracks because they're astounding musicians.
But this
So,
is different
yeah.
than like Baba O'Reilly by the Who, back in the
Yeah.
70s. That's just that little thing that Pete
Automated
recorded.
sounds,
Yeah.
yeah.
But this is backing tracks to where they have to listen in the headpiece because it cues
Right.
them. Apparently in the headpiece it'll say like a metronome. It'll so that you keep your place so that you don't
Yeah.
jump ahead of the vocals that are coming through the computer.
I think it also says that, not to sound dickish or whatever, but the level of talent Geddy Lee as a vocalist, and not to mention a bass player, the fact that he could go up until his 60s, lower it a bit, but still like deliver it. These guys, that music wasn't built to last. They weren't built to last.
Right.
If you can do it, and then that's that type of genre. All those screamers, I mean, you can't wail like a banshee forever.
Right.
It's very rare that you can do that. So at one point you can say, "Don't do it." Robert Plant doesn't wail like a banshee anymore. He doesn't, but because of his talent and his savvy, he does music that is appropriate. Motley Crue can't do anything but Motley Crue, but you're
They're
out
very
there.
monolithic.
But
yeah.
if you're out there being a charade, I mean, or
Right. Yeah. So there's
it's
a
farce. That's
laptop
farcical.
hooked up to them. And,
Yeah.
Well, do you
Yeah.
see a correlation? A lot of these 80s hard rock bands who are much younger than the classic rock bands need this now maybe because they were straining themselves or whatever, or because they haven't taken care of themselves. If you look at Vince Neil, he definitely is not a healthy looking guy. He's got
Brett Michaels
big
a
gut.
whole bit. Yeah.
But, you got to take care of yourself. But like Perry said with Bob O'Reilly, that's different. That's totally different. That's a backing track complementing the song, but Pete Townsend was still playing. There was a great show on this. Eddie Trunk on his show one time was talking about how many metal bands, are actually, the guitar player is not really playing. That's unforgivable. That's totally fucking unforgivable.
Well, here's their argument. To me, or to me anyway, like you're ripping off you're fooling,
Yes.
It's almost like stolen valor, But their argument is that the people that come to see us want to hear it sound like it's on the record. So that will be their argument for what they do.
It's a good point, because we're musicians, but like a Motley Crue fan, someone that never played an instrument just wants to hear the song at top volume. They're cool with it. And you're probably right, about that. Yeah.
Well, that's
non-musicians.
That's what they claim.
At that point, you are a waxwork dummy of yourself. It's like Madame Tussauds. I mean, it might as well just be Beatlemania puppets. You can still hear the music, but. Well, why don't they just do, instead of making you go to some fucking venue where you're going to get sick, maybe do some like pay-per-view, whatever thing.
Yeah.
You can lip sync along to
have a Vince
you can make
Neil
it sound
character.
better.
Yeah.
Lip syncing has been around for years with different music.
They can all switch instruments.
Yeah, really. But lip syncing's been around for years. It just pisses me off that it's totally with rock and roll now.
Or that guitar player in Motley Crue, they can get they can dig up a corpse and put a guitar in it.
They already have one. he's like King Tut. He's like Ramses the Third or something like that. Breathe back to life,
Oh, poor Mick. He's 85 years old.
He's probably the coolest guy in the band.
But think about Emerson, Lake and Palmer going out on tour with an orchestra. And of course they lost money, but they did it for the art's sake. They could have faked that.
Yeah.
They could have faked it with a tape machine of an orchestra playing behind them.
Yeah.
And then when they dropped the orchestra, they just toured without the sound of an orchestra. They didn't try to emulate.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
So all these bands, they're just proving that you had your time. You had your time, and
right. And we still want your money, though.
We still want your money. But they're giving it's a facade. It's a farce. It's.
That's one of the reasons why Steve Perry doesn't want to play out again, because he knows he can't achieve the levels of vocal histrionics that he used. So he refuses to go out there. And then you got Robert Plant, who, like you said, he just rearranges his music. Even if he does Zeppelin, he rearranges it so he can.
Yeah, he won't try and do that.
Then you got Roger Daltrey. Now. Roger Daltrey is a perfect example of someone that maybe should try to mask his voice, because he doesn't sound good at all. He just
really.
Right.
He
Robert
sounds like
Plant
he's got
sounds fantastic.
He does.
Oh no, Mark, he sounds fabulous.
Fabulous.
But you know what I mean? Like ELP, and also it's different than people who loop on stage. You ever see, they have the looper, so they'll play a little thing and then they'll play over it. That's different. That's not.
Yeah.
That's not what the laptops plug into the sound system to. And also, you think about it now.
The guitar player Ed Sheeran used a lot of looping.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff on stage,
that's different.
But he's playing it. He's making that happen. He's just playing along.
That's different. That's not copying. That's not ripping people off. Yeah.
No,
and that's actually a talent. He's talented doing that.
Yeah. It's timing. Because I know guitar players are notorious for having shitty timing. Okay.
Yeah, but think about like what's
they
going on now
the friggin' drummer all
with
the
these
time.
laptops and all this backing tracks being used.
Yeah,
is what Milli Vanilli did so bad considering what's happening now? Right?
Exactly. They were denigrated, and they should have been denigrated. They were another farce.
But it's no different.
Like you said, when these things came with lip syncing, like why is it acceptable now?
Right.
When it wasn't then.
Yep.
Well, going back to the 70s, didn't Electric Light Orchestra famously get caught with something happened in one of their shows?
Really?
They were overdubbing something and tape broke or something. I heard about that. Yeah. Because they only had like 3 string players out there, but they had the sound of orchestra. Something went wrong with them.
Wow.
But I forgive them, because Jeff Lynne was trying to admirably in the 70s. Like Electric Light Orchestra albums were like lush, and he was trying to recreate it for the audience. So
Right.
with him, it was a production thing. He couldn't understand why a stage couldn't be an album. You know?
Right. Well, the fact that maybe in conjunction with, or like that was like the Who using those backing tracks for Bob O'Reilly, where they couldn't play it on stage. But, while Jeff Lynne had some string players on or whatever, he couldn't, maybe you can't bring a whole orchestra on tour with you every time. That's a big thing. But
Right.
Yeah.
But this is a cop out with these laptops and Motley Crue and Kiss and Tommy Lee. The drums come in before he even starts playing.
Kiss, the fact that they replace Ace Frehley with a lookalike. Like, no, if you want to keep the makeup, you give another guy another character. No, they just got Tommy Thayer, and the guy's a nice guy.
They own the character. Yeah.
But what pisses me off about Kiss was the whole thing that turned me on them was when Gene Simmons went on Fresh Air on NPR and told the host that he pissed me off, and he said, I have to tell you, no musician enjoys playing every night. They all do it for the money. I got so mad because the first person I thought of was Pat Metheny. Pat Metheny or any other jazz musicians out there and just trying to make money? No, they're loving it. Gene, you're the one that wants to make money. That's all you care about. And then you realize after he said that, every fan should have said, oh, he's not having a good time up on stage. He doesn't care about me enjoying it. Just wants my money,
Yeah,
my rant's done.
To me, that's a cop out, man. That who was the Simpson lady on Saturday Night Live that got busted, right? Now, if you can't play live on a live TV show, that's pretty lame.
Yeah,
and blame it on the band.
Right. You're not in front of 30,000 people. You're in a studio with 100 people.
Yeah. Well, the downside of MTV was that if you look good and you had a modicum of talent, you could go places. There's plenty of artists we could name. Natalie Bruglia.
Right. Is it about the ears or is it about the eyes? Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's memes that say, rock and roll was better when ugly people were making it because, it's just, you listen to it. You don't, I like to watch music.
Yeah.
I like to listen to music. If it's a show, it's a show.
Yeah. I came to see the Beatles, not to hear the Beatles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you something. They've gotten very good because I'm a big collector of DVD concerts because I don't like to go to concerts, so I just love to get the DVD. And we know 90% of them, they overdub the vocals. They usually do a good job. But I have a Whitesnake DVD where it's so bad. I don't. Why didn't David Coverdale do the work? You hear a scream, and the scream stops, and his mouth is still moving. Like it's comical to watch.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's post production.
He's scream syncing.
Well, like all these DVDs, I know that in the studio they go back and they touch it up, just like in the 70s. They always said no live albums were really live, right?
Except for the last waltz, everyone overdubbed except for Levon Helm because he didn't.
Really?
He didn't have to.
Well, I love in the the last waltz.
Lost waltz.
When you see what's his name on bass, I'm watching it through my home stereo, and I hear the bass.
Sense. I know
the bass is nice and rumbling, like, doom, doom, but you see his fingers going all over the board.
Yeah.
Well, what's he doing?
They went back into the studio. Yeah.
Yeah, they said he was pretty off that night. He was kind of
a lot of times they go. I think they call it automatic dialogue correction, or what? They have to go back and do it. Yeah, Rick Danko's bass was apparently horrible at the last waltz. Yeah,
it was like there was out of tuneness and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah,
just goes to show you who didn't have to do it again, though.
Right.
Yeah.
The singing drummer.
The singing drummer,
not just the drummer.
No, my hero. Yeah. Someone I posted, Levon was voted out of the 150 best rock vocalists. He was voted 144th. And I said, he's too far down the list. And one of my friends, who's a drummer and a singer also, texted back and said, he goes, I was never impressed with Levon as a singer. Like more about, he had no range to his voice. I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, everyone has limitations, but the songs that he sang were made for his voice. So there was no lack there,
Paul Rodgers didn't have the biggest range, but his voice was fabulous. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't have a huge range, but he's great. And so was Levon Helm.
Yeah, if you listen to The Shape I'm In, that's Levon singing the high harmony behind Richard Mandel. So, but anyway, it's all ears.
Yeah.
But,
so, Mark, do you want to reveal some records?
Sure. I'm just going to mention really quick. No story behind it, but
we got some one-hit wonders too, right?
I have no one-hit wonders. If you have one, let's go with it, man.
Do you want to end with the album reveal? So we're almost
Yeah.
at 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll rush through it. Don't worry.
Okay, don't you
No
dare.
rush.
Okay,
Boom, 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 boom.
let's see if it's still on my thing because people have been getting hold
So
of it.
this is a one-hit wonder.
It's a one-hit wonder. Let's see here.
Pour me a drink. What's his name in The Shining? The bartender?
Lloyd,
Lloyd. Pour me a
Lloyd,
drink.
you got some advocat on your lapel there, Lloyd. This is a song from the year of 1974.
Mm-hmm.
It is a one-hit wonder. It's a really interesting song. I heard it on the radio the other day. I'm like, I've not heard this in ages. I'm gonna take my the fuzz off the windscreen off. Forgive these sound effects.
Take it off.
Okay. Perry, you might recognize this, Mark. I don't know.
Well, we're going to let it play through before we...
Nice hair, Lou.
I have heard that.
I never heard it.
Yeah,
Boy, cocaine makes you really do a good vocal track.
I could not tell you who that is.
Yeah.
What does it say? Life is a rock? Let me
The-
roll it?
The song is called "Life Is a Rock" in quotation or parentheses, but the radio rolled me. The band was called Reunion.
Wow.
Do you remember that song? Now,
I remember hearing it a
looks like
couple of times, yeah.
Well, sure. There's a lot of references. Sure, they throw a shit ton of references in there.
Yeah, heard that.
Bee Bumble and the Stingers is the first line. We talked about Bee Bumble and the Stingers when we were on the soup cans back in the beginning of the Music Relish podcast, where they had a one-hit wonder. Anyway, so this is kind of cool. So the band was called Reunion. It's a one-hit wonder. This thing charted at number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1974, number 33 on the UK singles chart. It was written by Norman Dolph, Paul DeFranco, and Perry does it. I know because Mark is a newcomer. Well, we turned Mark onto bubblegum music, right?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
So Joe Levine, does that name ring a bell?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Joe Levine was the singer of a lot of bubblegum songs, Yummy, 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 and Chewy, Chewy by the Ohio Express. So he's part of that amalgam of musicians who are cranking out the same. Yeah, there you go. So it's a mashup of 1950s, 60s, and 70s disc jockeys, musicians, songwriters, album titles. It's a whole bunch of things. You know, the chorus is different because it says "na na na na," like the radio rolled me.
Yep.
So it was one of those things. It was part of the bubblegum thing,
Genre.
and the bubblegum genre. But I don't know if that was considered
it sounded
bubblegum.
like a novelty song originally.
It sounds like that Bare Naked Lady song. Like it's the first time you looked at me.
The end of the world as we know it.
Well, that too. But when I looked on Wikipedia. The references, the name dropping is incredible. There's everything they've named.
Mm-hmm.
Three Dog Night. They name all the Shambhalais in there. There's all these things they threw. It's very clever. It's a very well written, interesting. I think it's novelty of the sort.
Yeah.
But when I heard that, I said, "God damn!" I said, "I remember that song. And it's catchy as friggin' hell."
That's probably the fourth time in my life I've ever heard it. Yeah.
You didn't have the 45?
No.
Yeah. So I came across a lot of one-hit wonders this week. That was one I thought I found yesterday or the day before. I thought would be really cool. Just total weird stuff. And 1974, what a weird year.
Yeah. Yep.
When we talk about the kitschy side of 1974 with those weird morbid songs, what is the intro you have on your sound library? Was that the night Chicago died? No, it's Seasons in the Sun.
Oh yeah.
Down.
Yep.
But besides the great rock of 1974, which was Gordon Lightfoot and even like the rock albums,
Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I mean, even just many things, but that AM radio side is still strong. AM radio.
Yeah.
AM radio had more listeners than FM radio at that point.
Yeah.
Up until the early 80s. But
yeah. Well, most
That's
people
one of
had
those songs-
transistor radios and kitchen radios and clock radios. Yeah.
But things like that form your consciousness. I would be surprised if the Bare Naked Lady fellas, whatever, had not heard that song, or just, who knows,
Well, I would say Bare Naked Ladies would be an AM radio band back in
Yeah.
the day.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't listen
Absolutely.
to FM until like 77, until my father bought me a stereo. I had my little transistor AM radio.
Well,
So that's all I listened to. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I had that too, but I remember if you have your stereo at home, your hi-fi system,
I got mine later.
Yeah.
cars being, but the great days of FM radio. We touched upon that too, I think, at some point, the differences between FM and AM. And
That was a phone show. We may have to redo that. That's an interesting topic.
we haven't revisited anything from the archives in a while.
Yeah.
Well, that's good because there's always new stuff.
Well, I think we
Lou's
covered
got
most
the
of
notebook.
it.
I do.
We covered
I've got
most of it,
episode
except maybe
4
for
and up.
debut albums or something. Yeah.
What's that?
I think we covered most of the radio.
Really?
The old cover, except for maybe debut albums or.
If I could petition the Music Relish HR department and the powers that be, the debut album show, I'd like to be if you ever want to revisit it. Just a hint.
Sure.
Like to be a part of that.
There's more we could. There's more that we probably didn't think about since then that popped up.
Yep. Mark, do you want to reveal some albums?
Actually, do you have another one-hit wonder, Lou?
Maybe.
Or I'll get the albums ready just in case.
Okay. Let's see here. I got one here. Give me a moment. There you go. I'm not going to say it.
I got a.
Your dick is cold.
I got a big one. We'll just fill time with the Revolting Cocks. The Revolting Cocks. On Wax Tracks
You
Records.
just like saying that, man. You're like a trailer park boy.
I mastered one of those albums. There's something satisfying about industrial music. It just goes bang, bang,
Talk amongst
bang.
yourselves for a moment.
Hey, Perry, how you doing? How was your day?
My day was good.
Mine was too. I went down to ShopRite, bought some sausages. Went to ShopRite Liquors, bought some wine. That's news.
You're like Ricky. I went to buy some pepperoni.
Here we go.
I got the good chicken tenders.
Here we go.
Even my wine is sloshing through.
That's the Rivieras.
You are correct, sir.
What's the name of the song?
What's the name of the song, Perry?
California Sun.
California Sun. Yes, indeed.
California
By the Rivieras. I don't know the year. 64? Well,
Sounds like
it
64.
probably was because it was a number 5, Billboard Top 100 hit. It is the last American hit by American artists before the British invasion.
Wow.
So that came out. So that was probably February or whatever, the beginning of the year. And then the Beatles hit and
It's when
wiped
those
some of
damn
that
Brits
shit
came
away.
in.
Yeah, there was no more Sugar Shacks after the Beatles took over. Bobby Rydell and Frankie Avalon and Frankie Avalon, whatever it's called. And yeah,
Paul
that was it.
Ankel.
Paul Ankel. Well, you having my baby.
Paul Kankel.
Paul Kankel, tonight's your theme. I own you. You're my manager, you son of a bitch. I will fire your fucking ass.
I got to get that Casey Kasem thing loaded up one day.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking ponderous.
Casey
fucking
Kasem was tearing
ponderous.
someone a new one.
The goddamn dead dog. Another goddamn sad story. Another goddamn. Oh, it's great. Like, let's do it.
How am I supposed to play a
comes-
happy record after we do it?
But then he does it so good. That's a professional. He does it so good.
We should do a bunch of stuff like the rants. I played Paul Anka here one time, tearing his manager a new one. But there's Buddy Rich apparently doing the same thing. And
Yeah.
I would love to hear that.
Oh, it was bad. Yeah.
What have you got, Mark Galley
Now,
Hooks?
can I add something before Mark goes ballyhooks?
Yeah.
The writer of that Riviera song, have you ever heard of a guy named Henry Glover?
Henry
Related
Glove?
to Roger Glover from Deep Purple.
No, he was not. He
I
was
don't
one of
know.
the first big major African American record executives and songwriter.
Whoa.
He worked with Levon Helm in the band. He produced Levon Helm's solo records. Him and Levon Helm started, I think it's RCO Productions. They started a studio. They produced the Muddy Waters Bearsville record. He wrote the Riviera's California Sun, but he's one of these guys we should talk about sometime, because when you delve, you find like he did that.
Put a segment together. Put a segment together.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
Only because he's very noteworthy because of the fact that he worked with the band and Levon Helm and stuff like that. But he wrote some really cool songs. But he wrote the California Sun.
Nice.
All right.
Did you hear the drums? Did you hear the drums in the beginning of that?
Yeah.
It's like floor tom tom and snare. It's like very surfy, but it's recorded really well. I hope it comes across on our audio.
Came out. Do you hear me? I was drumming with it.
I heard you, man.
Yeah. On my albums.
So you're revealing some albums, huh?
All right. So in full transparency, not every album I could show you I really liked. And here's another one. As you guys know, I'm not the biggest Jefferson Airplane guy. I never really got him, but I was told for years.
But you like the Dead.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm not a big Paul Kantner guy.
Okay.
I don't know. But anyway, in between Airplane and Starship, Paul Kantner put out something called Blows Against the Empire.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of people on it, and it's the first time where he mentions Jefferson Starship. He mentions it. It wasn't exactly a Jefferson Starship album. It has everybody on it. It's got Garcia, it's got David Crosby, it's got Bill Kreutzmann, Mickey Hart, so many people, because David Crosby was doing his first solo album in the same studio.
What's the timeline on that?
It is, I think it's 72.
So is it on Grunt Records, their own label?
No, because again, this is after Starship Airplane was not doing anything, so it's on Capitol. Oh, RCA. Sorry, RCA. See the old RCA logo there. And it's ambitious. It's really him and Grace Slick, because they were a pair at the time. And Grace Slick evidently wrote most of the songs on it, and it's very. They say it's epic. I don't know, but it's okay to listen to. I mean, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to listen to it more and more. I want to like some of this stuff that Grateful Airplane, Jefferson Airplane did, that I hear so much good stuff about. So I am going to make an effort to really get into them. But this is like a link between the two, Starship and Airplane. So I'll listen to it more, but it was given to me by somebody that was basically, this guy said, "Hey man, you gotta listen to this album. It's really good." The guy literally talked like that. And I was 12 years old when he gave it to me. All right. Next up is a bootleg, another bootleg. What it is The Wall. You had the Wall album by Pink Floyd. Then you had the movie. The music in the movie was a lot different in many ways. There was a couple songs that were unreleased that, collectors. So somebody put out one of the most successful bootlegs. It's the Wall soundtrack, and it was very successful. It sold a lot, but it was total bootleg, and it's just lifted right from the film. So it has a song called When the Tigers Broke Free, which wasn't on the original album. And this is a crafty bootlegger. It even comes with a bootleg 45 of When the Tigers Broke Free, which was the one great unreleased song. So it's kind of neat. Oh, shit. All right, so what fell out was a flexi disc.
Oh, cool.
This was in Guitar Player magazine, and it's Ry Cooder and Steve Vai. It's the Crossroads Guitar Duel. I didn't know I had this. I forgot I had this.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
You saw it here first, folks.
I always wonder what I did with all these flexi discs. Guitar players. But this is quality bootleg. So you got this 45. You open it up, and it's got all stuff in the film. Like, they did a good job on this, man. This is good stuff. Bob
That's a good shot, right? That's a good shot right there, Mark.
And there's Mother.
Let that go away.
Stop. You can see his tonsils.
Looks like my nephew.
You can see his fucking tonsils. All right, let me put this flexi disc away very carefully.
Oh, Frank.
All right, the final offering from the jam. The Bitterest Pill. Great song.
Great song.
It sounds more like a Paul Weller solo song.
Yeah, they evolved. They were not doing Batman themes, and that was an actual production.
It's a 12-inch, 45 RPM. The song list is Bitter as Pell, Pity Poor Alfie, Fever, The Great Depression, and War. Was War?
It's an EP.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was the old song, War. What is it good for? So, glad I have that, because I think it's very hard to get. Say it again, Lou.
Absolutely nothing.
This is an album that if you get the original packaging of, it's great. If you didn't, it sucked. Jethro Tull, Living in the Past. I know you really can't see it. But
the Black Album?
No, it was a comp album of mostly their earliest stuff. But I went to a used record store to hunt out the version that had this huge booklet with it. Just huge. It's like all pictures of the band, quality packaging. When they re-released, they didn't do that. It's a comp. It's got one side recorded at Carnegie Hall. But it introduced me to Jethro Tull, aside from Aqualung.
Still out there too. He just did a show very recently.
Listen, He may have gotten rid of Martin Beret, who I really was mad about, but the latest Jethro Tull is great, really good.
And they're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right?
No, but they won the Grammy for a heavy metal. Remember?
Back in '87, I think, right?
So that's all that matters.
They beat out Metallica for the best metal album.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Now, they really know how to categorize there, right? Yeah.
The Schlock and Roll Hall of Fame.
So this is my favorite album from this singer, and it's from his first period, which is my favorite, pre-'75. Rod Stewart, Every Picture Tells a Story.
Great record.
Love this album.
Yep.
Yeah. And was
that produced by Tom Dowd?
Hunt down the original. Good question. Where do I even find it? Oh, here we go. Produced by Rod Stewart.
Really?
Yeah.
No
This
shit.
is a great package.
Huh.
I mean, look at it. That's what she said. This is a great package. Oh, it's folded like that, you know? I think I bought this at John Schlapek's store. It's like I said, original. Gotta keep it careful.
Is Music Merchant in Westwood still open?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, good.
God bless him.
Yeah, man.
He still sells vinyl. He's got a
Still
wall
there.
full of vinyl.
He does a lot of
Independent
business
record store.
online.
Yeah, anyone
Okay.
listening, go Music Merchant, search him up, Westwood, New Jersey. Yeah. If you're looking for vinyl, he's got a lot of vinyl. And if you're in the area going, because he sells used CDs too. Okay, here's The Firm. Jimmy Page and Paul Rogers.
Radioactive.
Yeah, I was going to say with Radioactive.
I'm not uptight, not unattractive.
Turn. Hey, Lou,
right.
turn me on tonight. I'm a radio. Oh, that was cheesy. That was this. I remember when that song came out. I'm like, it's the new.
Yeah.
And that's
We
when it became
covered that.
the
Lou,
law
we
firm.
covered that in the old show with Supergroup. Remember?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Well, we redid supergroups.
Yeah.
For our new format. The firm. Yeah, you got to admit the law and the firm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
They can have.
They were better than what you heard on the radio, but you know.
Do we cheat them and how?
Great version of "You Lost That Love and Feeling" on this.
Really?
Yeah, because Paul Rogers again. You know, singing
Is it better than Hall and Oates version?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Okay.
I think the Hall Notes
why
is
does
good
that
better.
be a better one?
Because you know what? This got Jimmy Page playing guitar.
They're all great.
It's a good song.
The Hall and Oates one has a rare John Oates vocal on it, though.
Wow.
He sings the beginning part.
You never come.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This had to come out. Again, I flipped through. I find them. The album that should have been huge but wasn't, Zebra 3.5. WSOU in New Jersey said this was going to be the biggest album of the year. It's a great album. I'm telling everybody, if you like AOR rock and you like melodic hard rock, if you haven't heard this, listen to this. It's got some of their strongest vocals, but it killed them, their career, because it bombed. Atlantic didn't push it, just like Buckingham Nicks.
Yeah.
And they ended up going back to the bars, but it should have been huge. Randy's maturity in songwriting on this album is just stellar. He just went a million miles ahead with his songwriting. The thing is, it's a hard rock album, but you can play the whole thing on acoustic guitar. Very unique.
The business.
Yeah.
Record business, you know.
Styx, The Grand Illusion. I love this album.
That was a big record, man. Everybody
That was
had
a
that
big
record. I listened to it, and people had it in their cars.
Yeah.
Yep. Look, James Young and his white three-piece suit.
Yeah.
Tommy Shaw looking like he's 15 years old.
All
Dennis
4 foot
DeYoung
of-
a little too close to Tommy Shaw there, and the twins on the far sides from each other.
The Panazzo brothers.
Yeah. Rest in peace, John.
John Panazzo. What was it? Chuck.
Chuck.
John and
Yeah.
Chuck.
Chuck,
Yeah.
it's funny. They tour and he'll show up and play like 4 songs and he'll go off stage. It's
He's
weird.
the openly gay member of Styx.
Yeah, that's it.
Good for him.
They confound me because their stuff has never been. I would love to see some of their stuff re-released with like different. It's the same CD issues from when CDs first came out. Nothing has changed. I'm just thinking at some point we're going to see deluxe. Maybe there's no extra material.
Maybe there's no
everything they
interest.
recorded.
Could be that too.
No, they're pretty popular. They are. Good one, Perry. Good one.
Perry's being a dick.
Make my face red, Perry. See, you said that. Look.
Not everybody has to be. Not everything has to be remixed. And I mean,
Well, my wig's going to fall off.
you're
Perry.
not going to make Dennis DeYoung. Like.
Wait, hold on. My wig's coming off.
I would love to. Are they in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I would love for them to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Dennis DeYoung come out with his powdered wig.
Louis
great.
the 14th or something. I think they should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I do.
Of course they should. Yeah.
Are they?
I don't think so.
No, I
Really?
don't think so either. Dennis DeYoung, he pisses me off a lot in some ways, but when you hear him talk, he is so positive and so full of music, not himself. He just loves a good song. You can't help but like the guy.
He's
I know
show busy.
Babe is,
He's show busy.
Yeah,
I heard him
exactly.
I heard him on Gilbert Gottfried's Amazing Colossal podcast, and he was the guest. And I guess he was in his house in Chicago. He's a show busy schmuck, is what he is, man. That's what he is.
But I'll tell you what.
Showbiz. That's why he's not in the band.
Tell you what,
A show busy
Broadway.
schmuck.
Yeah.
A schmaltzy show busy schmuck.
Say that a few times
Schmaltzy.
fast, right?
Schmaltzy, you
I was never a Styx fan. I mean, like a couple of other working class
Grand
hero.
Illusion, great record, right?
Blue collar guy. Yeah.
But you know what's funny? For all the schlock, Dennis DeYoung's lyrics. Listen to Grand Illusion. Listen to some of his lyrics are just fantastic. He wrote Grand Illusion's a great lyrical song. I grew up on Styx. My sister's husband had a big old one of those huge Grand Prix and the 8-tracks, and he used to blast pieces of 8, and and that was like so good to me. And being a progressive guy, I picked up on the keyboard, so I love their stuff. And when he didn't come back and they continued on, they're more of a rock band, and they just put out an album like last year that's fantastic. It's fabulous, Perry. Fabulous.
Mark, I listened to a song of it. I thought it was badly produced.
Real, it's thin. It's got that digital sound.
That's because they're all in a different location recording it. Probably.
Lou, you lost your wig.
What else have you got, Mark?
I have to adjust my Schmitty wig.
Well, I think
The Seagal. No, that's the Seagal.
I like the Schmitty wig. It's not a Maury wig. It's a Schmitty wig.
What's my cakes and pies? Schmitty wigs don't come off.
Well, I think, Lou, that just real quick, the reason that the album suffered, a lot of albums recorded in COVID lockdown, they did in their own studios, and that kind of affects the sound, So,
Mark,
again,
don't make excuses. They're billionaires.
No. Again, I'm going to say it.
It's a digital record, also.
Perry's going to put me in the green room for doing this, but I'm going to say it anyway. As much as I love the songs, this is an example of how not to produce an album. The New Journey, awesome album. The sound, it's so freaking compressed.
So why
Anyway.
why is it an awesome album then? If it sounds like shit.
The songs.
Oh,
are
okay.
good. It's, you know what? Tom Spallone pointed something out to me because he said, Mark, listen to it in your car. So I went for a drive and I listened to it. I said, yeah, it does sound good in the car because, before you had CDs in cars, remember you used to listen to the radio. Everything on the radio is compressed. So it sounds good. So it's made for the car. But why did they do that? And Tom said, hey, most people stream audio in the the car. That's what they do. So I get it, but us audiophiles want to have something that sounds good,
It's kind of cool. We're going back to the old days when, apparently we would our earlier recordings that whoever the engineer was, whether it was Don DeCosta or Joe DeRig, would say, take this and play this in your car.
Yeah.
How's it sound in
Exactly.
car
Yeah,
speakers?
yeah.
How's it sound in your home
That's
speakers?
what the little cassettes are for. Yeah.
And it all
Yeah.
sounds equally shitty, but yeah.
I used to have
It all
in
sounds
C-
terribly compressed, but what are you going to do?
yeah, in CPI, bands would come in and I thought it sounded great when I was mastering it, and they thought it sounded great, and then they come back, sounds like shit. So
Yeah.
I was reading Guitar World one day, and then Eddie Van Halen said when we did 5150, we would put a mix onto a cassette, go out to the car. So I started doing that mastering, and it made it a little easier to deal with bands. Like, all right, now I know where they're getting at. It was an eye opener. I just, it's the Eagles, right? They suffered that. They're in a big studio. It sounds great. It didn't sound so good when it went to vinyl. So,
All right. Have you got another one, or are we done?
yeah, I got a piece of shit.
Okay.
I love
for
it.
you, Perry.
Wait, Mark, wasn't that a Styx album called Pieces of Shit?
Oh, that was rough. Music relishes. So.
So who was that? Quiet Riot?
All right, Quiet Riot. I was an unabashed fan. I
Nice,
love
Perry.
them.
Was
Perry
that
had
them?
that record too.
Was that them doing like those Slade songs? Are they the ones?
Yeah. This had their big
Yeah.
hit. Come on,
on,
come,
Feel the Noise.
C-U-M. Come on, feel the
I
noise.
can't believe that shit. That's so bad. That was considered the first heavy metal top 10 hit.
By Slade.
Am I wrong? No, by Quiet Riot.
Oh,
They covered that song "Come On, Feel the Noise,"
Mm-hmm.
but that was considered the first heavy metal. Heavy metal cracked the top 10. They consider that heavy
Yeah.
metal.
Well, I'll give just two things about this band that you got to remark on. First of all, Rudy Sarzo is a great bass player. Great bass player.
That's his hair too.
Yeah. Carlos
He doesn't,
Cavazo.
wait, he doesn't have the cigar though. I paid a lot of money for this.
You got it from Maury. I know, from Maury.
I'm gonna go swimming after this.
Just jump in the pool. Watch it float away.
Backwards. All right.
You got your pink Cadillac there, Maury?
Oh, of course.
But what I like one thing about this band, this guy Carlos Cavazo to play guitar. In the 80s, everybody was a shredder. He was never a fast guitar player. He actually, if you listen to the solos, listen to Come On Feel the Noise. They're just melodic. He never claimed to be an Yngwie Malmsteen. I kind of appreciated that. But anyone doesn't know, this is the band that Randy Rhoads came from.
That's right. That's right. And Frankie Benali, the late Frankie Benali.
He died?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
A year or so ago.
Okay, because there was that great documentary
the
where
drummers are dropping like flies. This is scary.
because like a year ago I saw a documentary where he was like getting the band back, and then the singer famously forgot the lyrics to Come On Feel the Noise. He
Kevin
fired
DuBrow.
him. He's like, he can't. No, Kevin DuBrow was long gone, and he was like, it was Frankie Benali with all new musicians.
I
doing
saw that
Quiet Riot.
documentary. Yeah,
Yeah.
that guy, he didn't.
And then
cut
that
it,
one
yeah,
singer,
yeah.
he couldn't remember the words to Come On Feel the Noise. Like, you're out.
Wow, come on, you suck.
Yeah.
My brother worked in at some shitty club restaurant in Greenwood Lake, New York, in the mid '90s, and he said that Quiet Riot were playing it because they pulled up in some fucking shit van. They came out like wearing those Louis XIV wigs, just like looking tired, and they just pulled up the drop-up window at McDonald's for the 10th time, and just because it was so depressing to watch. I'm like, fuck that, Remember those rock and roll dreams? I want to tour the country in a van. You probably don't now,
Well, the
Listen,
humble
you can do it in
too,
style.
right?
What's
Listen.
that?
Humbles them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess it shows you the Beatles. Look at the Beatles; they were smart. And in the early days, Ringo was going to invest in a hairdressing salon. Lennon goes, "If we get a couple years out of this, we're lucky." But so they laid the groundwork for all that hubris. So whenever else that came afterwards, they're thinking he had one hit song,
Yeah.
and you're going to be on top of the charts for 10 years. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Generally not the case unless you got the
Soul
goods.
Asylum, big MTV videos and big shows and back to the bars and GoFundMe to help us, record a new album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So that's
that was also a
humbling.
band. Yeah, that was a band like that last album was I don't know the name of the record. It had the big hit songs on it, Runaway Train song. That was
Yeah.
their last ditch. That was we're fuck it,
Yeah.
We've been beating our heads against the wall, and they were a good band. I never really liked them too much, but I think they're a good band. I think they were sincere. That's that Minneapolis sound, I guess.
Yeah.
But that was their go for broke, and they did it, and they had their moment though.
I heard it said that they beat even the biggest drinking British bands for drinking. Like they were the biggest drinkers.
Really.
Yeah,
Really?
that's what
Soul
I've heard. I
Asylum.
don't know.
All right, you
Even
want to
more than
close
the
the show
replacement?
out, guys?
I don't think the replay. No, I got one more album, but I gotta
Okay.
say something. One. I gotta say something about talk about bands coming in the clubs. 87 Do you remember, Lou, a club in Spring Valley called Manhattan's, Perry, Lou?
I've played there.
Oh, yeah. So we got tickets to see UFO there. UFO. So we go in there, and we got there early because we were under 21. So we're like in high school. We can only see the first show. So we walk in. There's all people at the bar.
So easy to do back then, too.
Yeah. So, yeah, we were allowed in, only we weren't allowed to drink. But anyway, we're waiting, right? And then we hear, like, they weren't even there yet. Also, we hear the band's here. So we turn around and we look. Some guy walks in with a big cooler full of beer, and then the band's behind him. That's what it was. It was like they had to have their beer, and then they came in, came out, did their hour and 15 minutes, and they thought they were great. Yeah.
Wow. Where was that? Was that Spring Valley, you said?
Yeah.
Spring Valley. Okay. Spring
It's
Valley,
now a
New
strip
York.
mall. Yep. A lot of big shows there.
Mark, I hadn't thought about that club until you mentioned it. We played that, the Cuckoo's Nest on 303 or 304. 303.
Oh, God. Yeah.
That was sick.
I saw Zebra at Manhattan's. Yeah, I see Zebra everywhere.
Wow.
I saw Zebra in your living room, probably. Anyway, it's like George Washington slept here. And then the final album, transitional album, but a great album, Queen the Game. Love this album.
What's on that record?
Well, it's got Another One Bites the Dust.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's that.
But it's also got one of my favorite lyrics from Freddie. When you're feeling down and your resistance is low, light another cigarette and let yourself go. I love that line. Play the game. Dragon Attack, one of their heaviest songs. Crazy Little Thing Called Love, great hit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great song. It's a very raw. It's nothing like their 70s stuff, but it was huge. Another One Bites the Dust was their biggest. I think it's their biggest song ever. Deacon John wrote it.
Interesting. Was it bigger than We Will Rock You?
I think in the United States it might have been. Maybe not the rest of the world, but the United States, it was huge. The Game, I was in Zion Lutheran School when that album came out. And it was like, even my teacher had it, it's like everyone had it. It was like the Frampton Comes Alive of that year.
All right. Well, I thought it was a good show. What do you guys think?
It sucked.
Mark, I have a question, Mark. Where's your name? Where's your name? Glory Hole O'Malley. That's what I'm seeing on my screen.
Well, I had a job once at a bar. They gave me a hole in the wall, and they said, "Just make the customers happy." So I stuck a beer through it.
Do you remember the hole in the wall?
Oh yeah. Where was that?
That was on Route 17. Didn't they have like 3 stages or 2 stages?
My sister, I never went there, but
I was there once. There was 2 big bands that had 2 bands playing at one time. It was the hole in the wall.
Yep.
The outside marquee had someone walking in. There was a cartoon hole in the wall. Somebody was walking through wearing a down vest. The male character in the car had a down vest walking through the hole into the club.
I know that Rat Race Choir played there a lot.
Oh my God.
Pepe Marcello. What was his band?
Good Rats.
Good Rats played there.
Rats.
Zebra played there.
No.
But that's how my sister knew Zebra. She used to see them there, but they were just a cover band. They did like Zeppelin, Moody Blues. And
Rat Race Choir. They played some prog stuff, I thought.
Yes, they covered Thick as a Brick, I heard, very well. Wow. And they would do, Mark Hitt, who just recently passed away, good friend of Randy Jackson's from Zebra, that he's a great guitarist, but it's funny, they were just a cover band. Kind of like the Nerds,
Right. Well, that was the days when there were regional bands. They played this. There was a circuit.
Yeah.
They played the circuit, and the Nerds.
The Nerds. They were huge.
I never saw. Me
neither. Me neither. I heard that they would do.
I never wanted to.
They were huge, but they never did original songs. So I mean,
just like Rat Race Choir.
Yeah, they're all cover bands.
Yeah.
If anyone, except for Zebra. Well, Zebra played Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Zebra made the leap.
Zebra had original material.
Yeah, see, they made the leap. They were a cover band. When they came up here from Long Island, they were a cover band, and they were really good. And they had the songs, because Randy Jackson was just a great composer. So they made that leap. Them and Twisted Sister were the ones that broke out of the cover stuff. And it's all camaraderie, those bands. They're all friends.
Yeah.
Twisted Sister, Zebra, the Rat Race Choir,
that whole Long Island. I thought Zebra from Long Island.
New Orleans,
New Orleans, exactly.
But they really are. They're from Long Island too.
From our perspective, that's how we knew them. I always thought, I remember seeing Zebra. I never saw them. I remember seeing them playing around when they made MTV. It was kind of cool because that was, whether you like the music or not, I mean, I think they're good, really good.
Yeah.
You to see local people come up, like it's like Warren Haynes. He's from Asheville.
Yeah.
But Warren Haynes is in Government Mule, the Allman Brothers. They finally did the what do you call the Christmas Jam. That's a big concert he holds every year at the Civic Center, and so he didn't do it for a couple of years. One reason he fought back against some of the powers that be about pricing and like certain venue things. Specifically, I'm not sure, but so he revived the Christmas Jam. But Warren Haynes is that kind of guy, like you can kind of root for because he was a local boy,
Local guy, yeah.
and made very
Bruce, the original local guy was Bruce
Yeah,
for all of us.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
All right, well, let's kick in the closing theme. How about that?
Thank
This is
you
the
for
theme?
listening to WMRP.
Good evening,
Music
everyone.
Rose
And,
podcast.
Turkeys don't.
there's Mark Galley Hooks O'Malley.
Oh, wait, do you see my name
I'm,
next week?
I'm Perry, Lord of the Onion Rings.
Funyun rings.
I'm Lou Caligula.
My first show with a tablet, and it worked.
Nice.
I don't know how to turn it off.
I'm still doing the brick and mortar thing here with the notebook.
Brick and mortar.
Brick and Morty.
Beady, 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 beady.
Hey Buck.
Cold dick.
Hey Buck Townsend.
Hey, this is our first show post hiatus, right?
I missed you guys 2 weeks in a row. Nothing to do on a Sunday night.
Where's the rubber drumstick? I need a rubber drumstick. I wish somebody could twirl it like Dino Danelli.
I can't twirl.
Yeah, I think I really it's coming off. Ah.
So
I'm losing
Music
my
Relish
powers of
Podcast.
vulcanization.
And Spotify, Anchor, Apple, wherever you
So
get
we'll
your
be uploaded on
podcast from.
Facebook.
Yep. And of course, we have friends, Milk Crates and Turntables, Scott McLean, Jack Calabrese.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Keep listening.
Tom
Yes.
Stallone is out there somewhere.
One day we will get a
Working
new
class
going
hero.
postal.
Yeah. But
Or
Milk Crates and
some-
Turntables, it's a great podcast. Check him out. Scott McLean's
Yes.
a great guy. Jack Calabrese is a great guy. I said Jack Scalise.
He's a guitar
Yes.
player. Of course he's a great guy. Guitar players are the best.
They are.
Can I record that
Farewell.
solo again, please?
Farewell, everyone.
No.
Good night. Bye-bye.